Great.
Like I said,
it's a good thing I'm driving, because we were like, who's going to drive? I was like, yeah, it don't matter. I'll fucking drive, because I don't really drink whiskey. So
yeah,
you were driving. Neither one of us would be drinking, probably.
Well, I was kind of hoping you would drive, because I had a little too much vodka.
Did you use reverse psychology on me?
you guys can hang out as long as you want until you're ready to go. I got a couch. You're with your name on it. Call you a taxi, Uber, whatever you want.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's real tough being a passenger. Right?
Yeah.
Sleep on your couch.
How big's this couch?
it's they call it the love seat. I think maybe intuitively, Hey guys, I really appreciate you guys coming on, man. I was excited for this when I was talking to you about it. I thought it'd be really cool. I've had the pleasure of doing some shows with you guys in the past.
Yeah.
You guys have a new album coming out, Singularity, right? When does that drop?
We don't have an exact date yet, but it's going to be March.
To be determined.
I want March.
As soon as I know, I'll make sure that you guys all know.
But I don't like to be rushed, so
I would say April at the latest, but we're really shooting for March.
Yeah, nice. So Jesse, Ray, lead guitarist, lead singer, Shacknasty, rhythm guitarist.
Rhythm guitarist, yeah.
I've heard you do some little noodling,
parts here and there,
some little noodling, buddy. I seen it.
Oh, hanky panky takes care of that.
Man, you guys, I think it's one of the things I think is fascinating about a band like yours. And when I started kind of doing a little bit of research in your guys' background, is that you're one of those legacy bands that has had different members in different positions over the course of the band's lifetime, but you've still been able to produce music. You've still been able to put out music videos. You've still been able to do live shows. You guys have still been able to perform at festivals and at motorcycle runs and all these different venues. And you guys have been able to overcome time and continue to produce music. And I think that's a really interesting thing. Ray, how long have you been in the band?
Actually, it's been goddamn about
2016.
We cuss on this thing?
Yeah, yes, you can. Yeah, no. This is a free speech zone.
Right,
this is a free speech zone.
We did have a disagreement and took a year off.
Yeah,
and then came back, and I think that
at least 6 years or more.
That was probably painful, and the reason why the album is taking too long. It's been 2 years. I think this album needs to be done.
Our last live show that we played was when you guys played with us at Latitude 42.
With the Schlocks. Was that for the Katie Palooza?
No,
that was the one after that.
With you guys, the Schlocks.
Yeah,
and we played that, and then we were kind of burnt out. We had a hectic schedule. Doing that album was kind of a arduous process, and then the gigs and all that stuff. Then there was a little bit of tension in the band, just whatever bullshit, and then we kind of took a year off, basically.
Yeah.
Then we decided to get it going again, and that was about a year ago. It was like, well, even a little more than a year ago, but like last January 2020, we're like, man, everybody's kind of missing it. We started talking to each other again. We're like, fuck, let's get this going, man, because the music was too good. We knew we were good.
That's one of those things, man. It's like being in a band, right? It's almost like being brothers, where you know you all love each other and you love what you do when you're together and you always have fun. But then there's those times when it's like, okay, and we need a little break right now. I think a little time off.
It's kind of like being married to 4 chicks. You know, sorry. That's just kind of how it's like to me. But
yeah,
you know, that last gig we did, I think with you guys, was the only time we did the cover song.
Yeah, you guys did War Pigs, right?
We did War Pigs, yeah. And that was the night I got home, and I scornfully told my wife, I said, hey, the alarm clock's going off. Shut that thing off. And she goes, the alarm clock's no going off, honey. What are you talking about? So I think that was the night we experimented with the earbuds and would do
you guys
wireless thing,
in-ear monitors,
trying to get the sound more, you know, dialed in. And I think I gave myself the tetanitis or whatever, where you know,
like tendonitis.
I have the ringing.
Tinnitus.
Ever since then, I have tinnitus. Yeah, I have that ringing. It never stops.
That's crazy. I thought it was a cool premise. We talked to the guys from Mark from Caucasians in Crisis about his in-ear monitors when we were looking at something a little bit more effective, and they came highly recommended. But I've heard people say that you get a little bit of feedback, and now that thing's stuck in your ear and you're in the middle of a set. You know what I mean?
You've got that, and then I guess probably however much you want to spend on them, and maybe the technology's better now, but yeah, we didn't have the biggest budget for this stuff. I imagine because you got to get them so loud in your ear to drown out everything else. That you're so freaking loud, so you can hear what you're wanting to hear in those. Yeah. That either way you're doing it, you're destroying your ears. You know, kind of.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not reflective, right, of like that stereo sound coming out the front.
But it's been like 35 plus years of everyone turned up to 11.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dynamic
spinal tap in this
equalization is
motherfucker.
rare, so you know, you're lucky if you have a great mix where it's not so loud and still is dynamic and everybody can hear everything.
You know, I mean, you did it. You know how it is. It's a big thing. People, you don't think about that unless you've been in a band, which you have.
Yeah.
But just the mix alone, you get to it live, you know, and different venues are different, and whoever your sound guy is, and where the monitor speakers are, and what's turned up. I mean, that's why it's so.
Sound guys.
It's kind of why it's cool, though.
Great sound guy. You're
JD.
star, right?
JD.
Yeah.
JD's our primary sound guy.
JD, he helped us out with the gigs that we did with you guys as well at Katie Palooza and the following gig, and he was great, man. We've always been lucky for the short time that we had the Schlocks and then Grey Days as a couple bands. We were lucky to have JD available to us for the gigs that we did with you guys, and then Daryl Winkleman down at Anateca, my cousin.
Yeah. He's your cousin?
Yeah, he's my cousin, man.
I got a story about that coming up.
Pretty much,
Remind me.
Daryl. Him and Courtney have been together for a long time, and I consider him definitely family. But he was so good too at helping us set up. And then when Kyle Mullen was our drummer, he's really good with sound stuff. Nick Sandoval is really good with sound stuff. Taylor,
Kyle, he's got the big bushy hair.
Oh yeah. The guy with the big mane. He can do his own L'Oreal entire.
Very talented.
Shoot. I love that guy.
He can do everything.
One man band guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I feel so fortunate to have been able to work with the musicians that I have, whether it's Taylor McCoy or Nick Sandoval or Kyle Mullen, because they were all like that. You know what I mean? They were all Kelsey, our guitarist that we had at the end right before we broke up.
Kelsey, I know the guy.
Yeah, they could all do it all, and that was the coolest thing, was that they were all so talented. I'm like, hey, is this good? Am I doing the right thing? And I was always kind of double checking with those guys, because those guys, I mean, Taylor and Kyle and Nick, they can all play drums and guitar and bass and piano and this and that, and they would do recording. And you know, I mean, it's just to be able to be fortunate enough to work with multifaceted musicians like that can really do it all and have a meticulous nature about them. I've been blessed beyond belief for that. But man, you guys got blessed yourselves. I mean, you guys have now it's you guys, you two. It's Greg Johnson on the drums,
Stooch,
right?
All on the drums.
Stooch. I know you guys all have. You guys have. I did my research.
Some of these I
have my nicknames. We got Ray Altman, the Altman 1000, right?
5K.
The 5K. Okay, we're upgrading now. Now we're going.
It was
5G, 5K.
I don't know. I feel like I'm in a zombie movie. You know.
And then we got Jesse Colt. What's with the Colt thing? Is that just a nickname? It's your middle name. Okay.
Yeah. I've actually grew up. My parents called me Colt. Everybody in school called me Colt. But then when I got older and I'm an adult and I'm on rosters, so like wherever I work or whatever like that, or my paychecks come out as Jesse.
Yeah.
So a lot of people call me Jesse too. I'm actually cool either way.
That's your state name.
Yeah, so Colt or Jesse, but yeah, Colt's my stage name.
Then we got Greg Johnstone Johnson. Is that close? Am I getting close on some of these nicknames?
Yeah.
Am I hitting them?
And we call him Stooch.
And Stooch, yeah.
Yeah, it was John Stone. That got exaggerated to a big story. That's a bullshit ass story I'm not going to tell here. But anyhow,
that's fair enough.
Stooch.
All right, keep your secret.
I don't want to lower your ratings. So just leave it story.
And then we got Raimondo Martello, or Ray Martell, and he's actually he kind of helps with all the production stuff too, right? He's not just your guys' bassist; he's also your producer.
Basically, yeah. He's got his own studio. He was just there.
Redwood Records.
Yeah, Redwood Records in Crescent City. Actually, he records other people too. I mean, he's studio for hire, and he does a good job.
Yeah. If somebody wanted to get a hold of Ray and set up a studio session with him, how would they go about doing that? Contact him on Facebook?
You can go to redwoodrecords.net.
Okay.
He also has a Instagram account that I guess is just under Redwood Records, or you can contact him through Shacknasty. Of course, we've got the shacknasty.net.
Boom, right here.
Yeah. We've got our, that website, and then of course we're on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was Shacknasty at Crescent City or however that is.
Yeah, Shacknasty at Crescent City on Facebook.com.
Yeah.
And then you guys have Sean Hanky Panky T Daddy Taman. that guy's got like 4 nicknames, man. That's an achievement on
Let's just say he's earned every one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope Tony's not listening. No, just kidding.
So your guys' new studio, right? I mean, Redwood Records just moved studios, and you guys have been recording in a new space for your new album, Singularity, right?
Yes.
Was Destabilizer also filmed in the new studio?
It was recorded in the older, smaller studio. This new one's a bigger space. Everything about this experience, I would say, is better. The space is bigger. The equipment that Redwood Records has is better. The recording techniques, everything. So, I mean, we're really excited. This album, there's no reason this album shouldn't
just be another banger.
It should kick the Destabilizer's ass.
Yeah.
Even the rough cuts that we have now that aren't even fully mixed, they're already bad.
Yeah, that'd be a shame if any of those rough cuts leaked to anybody.
Yeah, we would never do that.
Nope, definitely not. And I wouldn't accept any sort of bribery. Moving on. Hey, I wanted to ask you guys, going in and creating an album now, I see a lot of the equipment in there, a lot of the recording equipment that Martell's using is digital, right? There's a lot of like cutting edge stuff, but you've also worked on albums in the past. I mean, your guys' first album that you cut back when you were still known as Clearly Distorted, and a little bit of that first Shacknasty Jim record, that was self-produced, right?
Yeah, we rented a studio down in Big Bang Studios. It was in down south of the college there in Fortuna, kind of south of Eureka. Yeah. And I found out how much that was, but that was a big multi-level professional studio. But you got to pay for. They have a sound engineer that comes in and all this stuff. But I think that was more analog.
Yeah, that was all probably in that era, right? That's 96, 97?
That was 98.
98 when the album actually came out.
That wasn't like 97. That was 98. Bro,
you know what I was doing in 1997? Being 7 years old. I can't imagine the difference now, not having a ton of that analog experience. I'd done a little bit of recording with Luke Bayonne over at his Starry Sky Studios. Yeah. And he has a lot of the, not older, but the more analog geared equipment. And now recording now, how do you guys find that recording more digitally into interfaces and things like that, and miking amps, or as opposed to miking amps?
From my opinion, if I could play as precise and as good as Luke Bayonne, I could just do analog. But since I can't, I like digital, because then I can cut and paste.
I love Luke. He is definitely a perfectionist. Or a perfectionist, rather.
Andrew Long, when they were doing their Bad Whiskey, that was a badass band. They were fun.
Yeah, that was a cool band too.
I don't know.
Does it compare? Do you notice the difference?
Sound quality wise?
Yeah. From what you can tell, looking back and reflecting on your own takes.
Well, even from listening to other like big bands, Pearl Jam or whoever, I think I think it's got a smoother, whatever you want to call it, sound to the analog. I like it's a more organic sound.
Yeah.
Digital, it's not a real big difference. A lot of it has to do with what instruments you're playing or what pedals you're playing through. But as far as technology and as far as making the process quicker and easier, digital's the way to go. I mean, it's how you want to do it. I mean, you can get stuff done quicker, and it's got to be a hell of a lot easier for the engineer. So he's got all this stuff on the computer, and you can take this here, move this here, and stuff like that.
Where plug and play.
Analog, you're literally either cutting tape or you're recording reel to reel, and then you're multi-tracking that way, and that's just old school. Some people have an affection for that sound, but you really got to be kind of a really nuanced ear, I would think, to really pick up a big difference. But
yeah. And what about you, Ray? Have you done a lot of recording in the past before you took lead for Shacknasty
in the Sacramento and Bay Area?
Yeah, I've been doing this for quite some time. Been the singer-songwriter, basically the word man. Of course, I have to come up with a melody too, but I really think that this new album is huge growth in Shacknasty, because what's going to happen here is you're going to hear a whole new sound and quality that almost degrades the first album. We've already been in talks about remixing the first album, because Ray Martell and Redwood Records, of course, is the reason why Shacknasty survives.
Yeah. And
he has become such a great engineer that I was teasing him today. I did three tracks this morning for this newest album, And I said, you have so many hats. You're like the director, the engineer, and, you know, I said, well, because he kept asking me what I wanted. And I go, you have to tell me what you want. You know, what can you work with? Because on the three most recent songs, we did something backwards. We didn't rehearse them until they were tight. We jumped in the studio and recorded them right after they're written.
Okay.
So he's
partly like a
Martell's like teasing me saying, can you sing this song the same twice? And I can't, because as a band we haven't rehearsed it and made it tight. So this is like the biggest challenge of my whole career, is trying to record a song that as a band we don't know together, but still laying down the tracks so that you know, like today I focused on timing, because I seem to have a problem with singing it different every single time. So
yeah, just
without being rehearsed over and over again. Yeah, because
you guys found that hard during COVID to not get those live reps and not be able to have those expectation dates. Because I always found for us that helped us practice, because we said, hey, listen, by May 16th or whatever date, we have to have our shit together. So it kind of forces those reps.
Put some feet to your fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. But that's what I was gonna say. It's kind of why we're doing it this way. The traditional way, you know, for a band, you know this, he knows this, is you make up some songs, you get them good enough to start playing live, and you play them live, and after a while, these are good enough to record now. Let's record these things, and maybe
be tight. You know, you gotta be tight, right?
100%. Yeah.
The crowd really responds to this one, that song. Nobody, you know, maybe we'll cut that. You know, we couldn't really do that during this because there's no live gigs going on because of COVID. So it was like he said, it's the opposite now, where we're like kind of recording it first, and we're kind of making it up as we go, you know.
What do you guys like about that process? I mean, is the songwriter, right? You're writing most of the songs and the lyrics, and some of the melodies you're saying, or most of the melodies. Do you find that more challenging, but in a way more rewarding, because you're able to kind of have an expectation when you go to perform live to meet, as opposed to having the expectation be the live show and then trying to meet that on the recording?
You know, Ray Martell and I were talking about this morning, because I was like so intrigued by the growth that is creating as a band, trying these different aspects during the COVID experience, right?
Yeah.
Where we're not together as much. We're not doing as much, as like more concentrated on your own homework. And I said, oh, you know, this is so crazy. The latest track I put down this morning doesn't sound like any of the other tracks, but I can walk away knowing that I gave it my best shot. And if this is the final track, so be it. But all the other tracks were awesome. We didn't have a problem with it. But today I went in and I told him, I'm kind of feeling self-conscious, because these two songs, I feel like it sounds more like I'm talking.
Yeah. Because
I had writing is exterior. So to me, it's like a clairvoyant experience. Sorry, Paul, if you don't agree, but
no,
I feel like
I'm just thirsty.
The paper is blank until it comes to you. You know, I had the same problem last album with Anywhere. It took me 3 months to write it. Came to me on vacation in Vietnam. This song that Ray Martell came up with, Jaunt, is what he called it. It's we're a little bit mixed right now if we're gonna have it called Jaunt or Stop Loving Me. Yeah. But when he gave me the first song at first, I was like, nobody can write lyrics to this song. You've like made some kind of crazy.
It's a math nerd, music nerd song. It's
the positives are killing me. Yeah, it's like everything about
tempo changes, and it's not the.
And so then we started discussing, well, maybe this will be the only instrumental we have on any album, you know, because Ray's stuck. And
some of those songs are the best, though, man. Some of those albums that have that one instrumental track on them, they're some of the deepest cuts, man. Some of the stuff that really...
Well, and AI was like that at first. And now John is our favorite song, because it just came like externally and flowed on the paper. But I'm in the garage late night. I don't want anyone to think they're killing a cat in the garage, right? So I'm like, lies and thieves always looking at me, and I'm trying to like really do it soft on my phone, recording, And so then later when we're trying to rehearse it, Greg Johnson, I had sent him the track and he's like, can you do it more like you did it on the recording in the garage type thing? And I'm like,
looking for that.
Well, no, I'm like trying to whisper almost, and talk it. And so then the song kept coming across as like I'm talking it. So this morning was the first time that I really tried my hardest to vocalize it.
Yeah.
And I was told Ray I was a little nervous about these guys liking it later because it's way different. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Some of my favorite bands have that talk style delivery. Cake does that a lot on a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of do that, not monotone, but that it's almost like a speaking, or Talking Heads does that a lot. One of my other favorite bands. I don't think there's anything wrong with those songs that stick out on a record that aren't necessarily in cohesion with the rest of the record, but sometimes those are some of the best songs, man. Some of the favorites that people go, wow, it brings somebody in that normally might not listen to that style of music, or maybe you don't jive with them, and then they get one song in that's a lot different than the rest of the album, and it kind of pulls them back in.
We do have a song like that on this album, Robot Chicks, total punk song.
Yeah,
it's total Sex Pistols, Ramones, that kind of thing. And we're not that kind of band typically. We're more hard rock, metal.
You guys are kind of like a post-grunge metal.
Yeah, it's kind of our sound, I guess. Yeah. But Robot Chicks is total 3-chord punk song, and we did it that way on purpose. You'll have to hear it when the album comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one out. That's the one song I would say that kind of stands out from the rest of the album.
I gotta say that when you feel like you're with a bunch of prodigies, it's very intimidating.
Yes.
And Greg Johnson really puts the pressure on me. So this morning I really concentrated on just the singing more conservatively and being on time, because I really want that pop, that I'm on time right when it should be popped. And but yeah, the pressure that everybody gives you is, I don't know, sometimes upsetting and sometimes encouraging, but
sometimes it's hard to live up to those.
It's hard to write fast.
Yeah.
Like I said, it just comes when it comes. It doesn't, like, you can't just sit down and, if I have a blank piece of paper and I'm trying to force it, all I hear is like, they, can be, and I'm like, I have no original thought.
Where are you going with that? I got some chords for that.
You do?
Yeah.
They, can be. What?
I have a guitar in that closet.
Yeah.
You can get it right now. The didgeridoo, the bongo, we can, whole new sound.
Didgeridoo, that's what we need.
But today, like, I was listening to the lead that Taman came up with on Maintain.
It's a new one since the last
Oh, yeah. And I was like, it's just like, wow, man, that's so good.
That's the other thing, too. You've heard of the whole being greater than the sum of our parts. That's this band to a T. There's some, like, Greg Johnson, Stooch, awesome fucking drummer. I mean, dude, awesome drummer.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty awesome in their own right. But honestly, I've always thought that I'm like an okay guitarist. I'm not that great. Rhythm guitarist. I wrote a lot of the songs, but just kind of the framework of the songs, and everybody adds their part and all that. Not the lyrics, he does that part, but But like, if you took me out and tried to put me in any other band, I'm certainly not going to stand out. I might not even make the cut. Some other band. But this band as a whole, like, I don't know how to say this without trying to sound, I want to be honest here, but like, Taman's not like your classic ripper. You're not going to sit there and listen to Taman and go, oh, that's Eddie Van Halen part 2. He's not that style of guitarist. He's so different though, and that's what's cool about him. He does weird shit on the guitar. There's no way I'm going to do it. That's why he's in the freaking band,
Yeah.
But he
solo on Anywhere, that solo on Anywhere, that really stood out to me. Some of that dragging and stuff that he's doing. It's a non-traditional solo, but it fits in with your guys' style so well. It complements your voice, it complements the rhythm guitar, and it stands out without overtaking the song and just being that redundant noodling that a lot of people do, where it's just like, sometimes certain guitar solos get to the point where they're obnoxious.
Yeah, and like, okay, we get it. You can play guitar good.
When there's something kind of unique though about somebody's style that really does stand out, like you said, it might not be like an Eddie Van Halen level of execution where it's all these technical breakdowns and arpeggios and all this, but there's definitely something that stands out about your guys' sound that I really enjoy. And like you said, the production quality on these albums and the videos that you guys have put out, a lot of positive feedback. Your guys is the quality of recording that you guys are able to put out, the quality of sound you guys are able to put out in your live shows is really I would say definitely for local bands, and my experience at live concerts is limited to my my 30 years on this planet. But I mean, your guys' sound that you put out is on par with bands that I've paid quite a bit of money to see, as far as the stereo sound that gets put out. And people really enjoy it, man. And I think that speaks to your guys' experience. I mean, like you said,
thank you. That's a compliment.
Thank you for JD. That guy.
Yeah, JD. He's like the fifth Beatle.
I mean, we could do an acoustic jam, but
he's like that guy in the piano.
Without JD, I mean, come on, we're not.
Yeah, he's.
We can't.
How long has he guys been doing sound for you guys? The whole time?
Pretty much for this incarnation of the band.
Yeah.
There's been a couple shows we didn't have him because he had other prior commitments or whatever the reasons, but
does he do stuff with Lighthouse Repertory Theater too? Right? He does.
I think he
sound
does.
for them.
He's like the local dude in Delaware County that does sound. He does sound when they do plays or stuff at Crescent Elk. What are they called?
Yeah, the auditorium down there.
Yeah. He does the radio, one of the local radio stations there, and so yeah, he's big into that. He when they do that Relay for Life.
Yeah.
The high school track, he DJs that, I think, or
I think he was down there with Paul Wenning doing sound for DNACA, the Del Norte Association for Cultural Awareness, where they get these pretty, I think they had Taj Mahal, like one of my favorite blues guitarists of all time, come in like a few months back, I think before the COVID, and he was setting up the sound for him and running the boards and things like that. And it's like, man, that's for you guys to be able to have access to that level of audio engineer. I mean, that's, or I don't know if that's even what you call it. Technically, I think Ray would be your guys' audio engineer, Martel. But for you guys to have someone to run your soundboards while you're up there, make adjustments on the fly, take reads from the back of the room, help you guys do sound checks. I mean, that's almost an invaluable. That's like you said. It's he's a member of the band at this point.
It's a piece. It's a piece of the band.
Yeah.
Well,
an important piece too.
Quick story that's I will tell you about how good he is and how you said making adjustments on the fly. We did a gig, kind of made our own gig up at Miller Bar on the Checo River.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Built a little stage.
Thanks for the invite,
all day.
guys.
Oh well,
I think we actually invited you guys to do it, but you guys were doing some other
I was probably drunk on another
When
party.
we remember, we post things. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we go up there and do this gig, and he shows up early with his own truck with all mountains of speakers, all that stuff, right? He puts all this work in before the band even shows up. We set all this thing up. We're doing this free gig for everybody on the river bar in the summertime.
Yeah.
A lot of people there showed up because they knew that we were doing the gig. When there's people that were already there anyway, they were like, "What's going on here?" We're like, "Hey, we're doing a free gig. We'll be done by dark. Don't worry, we're not going to keep you up all night." So it was a fun thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're doing the sound check, and I've got this Mellotron that I hit. We only use it in a couple songs, the specific spot. And if for anybody that doesn't know what a Mellotron is, it's like sounds like a chorus of people singing in the background. And so I did that.
Played on the guitar.
Yeah, but I'm playing it through the guitar. But you only want to use that pedal during certain specific spots in some songs. So we did our sound check, and then we're getting ready to play the actual gig. And we start playing the first song, and that Mellotron isn't supposed to come in until like 3 songs later. And it's right on the first song. Well, I can't hear it from where I'm at because it was only going through the PA speakers. But he hears it, and he knows right away it's not supposed to be in our song, so he cut that feed.
He knows you guys are set that well.
Yes. So that was cool because I don't even know. I'm like an idiot fucking playing. And so luckily the live audience did not hear the Mellotron, but we were recording straight from the board because we want to have a little live recording. It's the first 3 songs that basically ruined because the Mellotron is on it.
That sucks, man.
It was my mistake because we're at the middle of the day and the sun's out and I couldn't see the little light was on the pedal. I didn't know it was on it. I turned it on when we were sound checking it. But having JD saved it because if it wasn't for him, everybody out there would be like, "What kind of weirdo band is this? Why is there this in every song?"
That sucks, man. You guys weren't able to hear that through your monitors or any of that?
No,
I never heard it.
Mellotron, we run that separate. And it just goes out through the PA speakers because we only use it in a couple spots in a couple songs, and that's why I didn't even know it was playing. And then we heard the live, so we never could put that live recording out because I ruined it. Sorry, guys.
Doing that live performance on the river bar like that, is that one of your guys' favorite live performances that you've been able to do? I mean, that seems like such a unique thing that people don't. I mean, think about someone that's never been to this area coming to our river, seeing how beautiful it is up here on the Checo, walking on the rocks, seeing the trees, watching the river flow down, and then all of a sudden, here's you guys are doing off a flatbed trailer, right?
Yeah.
Here's a flatbed trailer with a 5-piece band rocking all into the night, having beers. Like, that's a pretty unique thing. I don't think there's a lot of music festivals that necessarily or able to replicate any sort of performances like that, and it was just you guys out there doing it. Would you rate that up there in your top couple favorite shows?
Yeah, I would. I thought it was cool.
Oh, I've been doing it since the beginning, but of course the outdoor shows like that are the best. We used to have a annual show in West Sacramento at a farmer's house, and it was after he basically harvested the hay and stacked it all. We called it hay stock.
Yeah, there you go.
And everyone would come around from all over the community to come to Haystock.
Where was this at? This was...
It was in West Sacramento, in the rural part of the, where they used to hunt pheasant.
Yeah.
Before it became a big city and stuff.
And people started coming out there and doing it every year, or is that an annual?
Oh yeah, we had a great big, it was a huge party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple bands.
And the man that let us do it was Jim Valine. Old Jim Valine would let us practice there in his old shed, and once a year we'd have Haystock.
That's badass, man.
And it was so fun.
Thank God the guy sold hay, not cords of wood, because that name was already taken.
Yeah.
Cord stock?
Wood stock.
Wood stock.
Stupid.
Hey, you're so dumb.
Cord. A little bit of a Shacknasty history too on that, doing that gig up there. We used to do a similar thing in the previous version with Shacknasty Jim. We called it Blood Flop. When we do the outdoor gig, our own little meetup gig just for our band.
Yeah.
And it was when it was my brother, when me and my brother and Greg and Jeff Berryman, he was the original bass player, we started the band back in '96, and we used to practice in a room about this freaking big that was in the basement of his parents' house. And when we quickly got too loud for that, we had to find a different place to practice. This was the summer of '96, and we didn't really have any other place to go. We had the great idea, well, we got this generator for camping. We'll take this generator out in the woods, and we'll just set up out in the woods. Yeah. And we'll just practice the week, practice all night. We'll go to a campground that's unoccupied, and we're not going to mess with anybody. Nobody's going to care. Well, his brother that was still in high school at the time caught wind of that and started telling people at the local town there in McLeod, California, up there in Siskiyou County, telling people that there was this free concert in the woods. Or actually, I think he was actually charging people. He wasn't even saying it was free. There's this concert in the woods. If you give me some money, I'll tell you where it's at.
Oh, fuck.
A little scheme, right?
That's a good cover charge right there.
So, yeah, so they, people show up out there. So we get up there. We don't know shit. We're making songs for the first time. I couldn't hardly even play guitar. Greg Johnson could kind of play the drums pretty good.
How old were you this time?
I was 21.
Okay.
But I started late to the game. I didn't start playing guitar until I was like 20.
Was this clearly distorted?
Well, this is even before we were even calling ourselves clearly distorted.
Okay.
And we get up there and just thinking, hey, we got some privacy. We can play all night, and we're not going to be too loud for his parents or the neighbors or whatever. Well, we're there, and carloads of kids just keep showing up. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, And they're like, hey, when does the concert start? We're like, what fucking concert? Well, we already have the drums and some speakers and shit set up because we're going to jam out there.
Yeah, so these guys are looking at you like, what do you mean, what fucking concert?
Before you know it, we got about 50 local kids wanting a fucking concert. Somebody bring a fucking keg, and there's all this, and we're like, what the fuck, we got to perform. We don't have one song down. Like I said, I could barely play the guitar.
Yeah.
Jeff Berryman, his nickname was Wes.
That's the best.
Yeah, he could barely play the bass. We just kind of got into this.
Yeah.
My brother kind of could play the guitar pretty decent, and he was going to be our singer.
That's your brother, Zion?
Zion, yeah. And so we're going to do this. Now we're forced to, on the spot, do this gig. Well, it's called Mud Creek Campground. Well, we flopped, obviously.
Yeah.
Fucking sucked. So we're trying to place it, and we didn't know shit. I kind of knew, the main riff to Enter Sandman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, you
guys are just doing covers at this point, right?
No, we couldn't even do that. I'm playing, the main riff to Enter Sandman. That was the only thing on that whole song I knew. None of the others even knew how to play that song, and maybe my brother knew a riff to something else, some Smashing Pumpkins. And dude, it was such a horrible experience because they kept wanting this fucking concert they were promised.
Yeah.
We sucked so bad. People were booing us. We called it Mud Flop because we flopped at Mud Creek Campground. Well,
some guy in the back yelling, "Free bird!"
Yeah. Oh god, it was horrible, dude.
There's always that fucking. Don't be that guy. Do not be that fucking guy.
He's everywhere.
Well, we wanted to redeem ourselves. We kept practicing. We moved to Redding. We lived in the Redding area, and about a year later, we felt, hey, we're good enough to put on a real gig. So we went back up that area in the woods. This time, I think we're out by Lower Falls, the falls in McLeod there, and we
Mudflop 2.0.
Yeah, it was Mudflop 2. We called it. We called it Mudflop again, even though we weren't at the exact same campgrounds. And we kind of wanted to redeem ourselves in front of the locals because we knew now we kind of play now. And so we did it. It was a great time. We played a gig in front of the bonfire, and everybody liked it. And we did 2 or 3 more over the years, one a year from 96, 97, 98, 99. I think 2000 was the last one we did. of that version of the band, and that was back then. But so that's kind of when we did a couple years ago. We did that River. We called it River Fest. We just made a new name for it. But you know, basically setting up your own gig in the thing out in the woods. You know,
the thing about it is, if you're good enough, you can play anywhere and without anything, and that's what's so awesome. And then you're outdoors too. Wow, what a feeling, right?
Yeah.
But if you suck, you call it mud flop.
Yeah, right. If you can't play anywhere with or without equipment.
Well, especially being up here, I mean, kind of being in Northern California, I'm sure you guys haven't lived in bigger cities and been a part of music scene for the last umpteen years.
Yeah.
You guys know that it takes initiative. If you're not going to do it yourself, no one's going to do it for you. No one's going to organize a gig for you. No one's going to promote your gig for you.
up here. We make our own
If
videos.
you're not going to be tight, I mean, why do it?
Yeah.
I mean, but you could, if you're tight as a band, play anywhere, anytime, using anything.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
all he needs is an ice pick, a snorkel, an avocado.
There you go.
I can.
You're like, yeah, exactly. Thank you.
McKellen.
Yeah, exactly. Now you don't want to see me. You don't want to see this what this chair is held together with. It's not. It looks like a lazy boy on the outside, but in there, we'll skip it. So a lot of people probably want to know, people that haven't seen this, and hopefully we reach out to some people that haven't heard of you guys before.
Yeah.
What is a Shacknasty? Is that Shaquille O'Neal's dirty business? What are we talking about here?
Ooh, the history of the name is what you're getting at.
Good question.
Yeah. MODOK.
Well, yeah, MODOK Indian Warrior. When we started, it was Clearly Distorted, and that ties in with the story about Daryl at in Ateca.
Okay.
Winkleman. So we did that mud flop. The first one was a bomb. Then we did the second one almost a year later, and that we kind of had our chops up. We were kind of good for a little small time local band. Well, we fucking got told we could play this gig over here at Crescent City. The fairgrounds open for this band called Black Rose.
They're a little band, Black Rose.
Him and all of his brothers, the Winkleman brothers.
Yeah.
And they were heavy metal. And so
Daryl still wears leather to this day.
Yeah, well, some guys are stuck. That's right. So anyhow, we came out here and opened for those guys, but they called and said, "Hey, we're making flyers for the show. What's your guys' name?" We didn't have a name for the band. We had a couple of joke names like I don't know what we call it, Toad Hanger and some other the firmly established losers, but no real name yet.
Funny, that's a great name. Firmly established losers.
Yeah, well, we weren't sure yet. Somebody even came up with like a Placid Venus. But anyhow, or festering maggots on swords or something.
I love it. Where you take the first letter, the first name, and the first letter, last name, you switch them. That's the funniest thing in the world to me. I don't know why.
Well, off the top of my head, I had to come up with a name so they can make these flyers, and I said Clearly Distorted. And so that we kept that name for that version of the band for that year that my brother was the lead singer. And we came out here and played at the fairgrounds. Great time. And you were talking about how Daryl was really great doing your sound for you guys. You played
he was awesome. He helped
when
out
his band, we opened for them, and we really didn't know what the fuck we were doing there. And we opened for Black Rose. We didn't have monitors. We didn't have shit. They helped us set our shit up and set monitors up for us. They were so fucking accommodating. They're so cool. They'd done it a million times. They knew what they were doing. We didn't. They knew we were a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
So that was my story about him. Those guys were great. Well, that version of the band kind of broke up, and then we were like trying to come up with another name. We had a couple new members. This was like the late 90s now, like 98, 99, and
this is when you started to get
this is Shacknasty
Eli Lindsay.
Yeah, Eli Lindsay.
And then Sean, this is where Sean came in.
Yeah, we put up some ads for looking for a lead guitar. So my brother had sang and played lead guitar. So when he left the band, now we're out of two positions. We need a lead guitarist and a singer. So we put up ads. We got Sean Hanky Panky Taman, and then Eli Lindsay initially. We wanted to change the name because we had some different members and stuff, and kind of go in a different direction. And we thought back then the bands that were popular of the style of music we were doing was like Smashing Pumpkins, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, kind of these kind of goofy names or whatever. So we came up with this Shacknasty Jim, because he was a Modoc Indian warrior back in the 1800s, late 1800s, with the Modoc Indians up in the Tule Lake area by the lava beds.
Near Shasta, right?
Yeah, their struggles against the U.S. government back then. And so you can look into the history of that if you want to look up Shacknasty Jim, where Captain Jack and the Modocs, the war against it was awesome history. I used to go camping up there, and it was like a local story. So we thought Shacknasty Jim has local meaning to us, and Shacknasty.
Was it kind of just like he's a cool Indian warrior kind of thing that drew you to him, or was it?
Yeah,
because he was a
being a Native American. After I researched it, I was like proud of their name. You know, it's like that's pretty cool. He held off an army of 1,000.
Yeah, 51. They had like 51 fighting warriors.
Killed the first U.S. general. Died in battle. With
ERS Canby.
Yeah, because he was responsible for trying to assassinate some of the peace commissioners, right? Some of the he led the raids against.
He killed 2 peace commissioners, and then the happy ending was they had him lead him to all his 50 guys, and they all hung.
Yeah, they were all kind of. He kind of ended up being
it was the
turncoat a little bit.
Same bad story you hear about. You know, a lot of
the beginning of the story was pretty heroic and cool.
Well, it's an interesting story. It's a non-traditional ending that kind of like that M. Night Shyamalan twist at the end. It's like this great warrior who ends up for his own benefit, you know, kind of turncoating. But it's an interesting story. I mean, when I was doing the research into it, I was like, holy fuck, man. I was like, this is a guy that lives some, and there's some pictures of him from the 1870s where they had those still frame photographs where it's, and he looked like he lived a rough fucking life, man. He looked like he was tired of everyone and anyone's bullshit.
1,000? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that's like some Battle of Thermopylae shit.
In the lava caves of Oregon.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, man. I grew up camping there in summertime, so I love how deep you guys just got into it. But I really, back when I came up with a name, I remember Shacknasty Jim was.
How old were you?
Captain Jack's right hand man. This is back. Oh, when I used to go camping there.
Yeah. No, when you thought of the name for the band. You pitched
when I came with Shacknasty Jim, it was probably like 23, something like that. And I wasn't thinking, I knew who Shacknasty Jim was, but I just, more it was like, it's a name that sounds kind of cool. Like Shacknasty sounds like Stone Temple Pilots, Smashing Pumpkins kind of sound. But it wasn't just some bullshit I pulled out of thin air. It was something to our local history, because when you grew up there, you went on a field trip at some point in your like grade school, and you went to Captain Jack's stronghold, and you saw where they held off the U.S. Army and all that. So I knew the vague history of it. I wasn't thinking, oh, you know, the whole story of that individual. I kind of learned more about that later, you know, and I knew the general story at the time.
Yeah. That's interesting. You think about someone, if you were to tell that guy back when he was alive, like, hey man, one day there's going to be a metal band named after you, and there's going to, you know, these guys are going to be 150 years from now. I mean, for him to even process the effect that he would have long term, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
If you think about in that kind of term, that it's interesting that you guys keep that legacy going, and I'm sure more people have Googled Shacknasty Jim, just as many because of you guys as they have from anything in the last 100 years. You know what I mean? Kind of bringing attention to the Modoc people, bringing attention to the struggles against the U.S. government, bringing attention to his particular super interesting story, the story about Captain Jack and the holding off those guys and the assassination of the peace commissioners. It's interesting to think about the effect that human beings can have on the past as well as the future. Moving forward with this release of Singularity, what keeps you guys going? What keeps you guys motivated to keep producing new music and keep going back in the studio and grinding it out and putting out stuff that you feel strongly about and you keep writing and what drives you guys? What drives Shacknasty as a band? What motivates you guys?
Everybody might have their own individual motivation. I think by and large.
Well, I only have the two of you here, so speak for yourselves.
Well, for myself, it's just the urge to. For one, it's fun. It's a fun, if nothing else, it's a fun hobby, you know. But on a creative level, it's just sometimes I might go a year without coming up with anything in my head not that I'm trying, but then all of a sudden it's weird, kind of like you had said earlier about a blank canvas and shit comes to you. That I might be just in my head, all of a sudden I'll get some weird riff in my head, and you know, that's maybe not the groundbreaking thing of the entire world, but it's just some unique new tune in my head. I got to play it on the guitar and I'll kind of work it out, and that's usually where a lot of our songs have started. I had an idea for the main riff, I'll kind of structure it into a song, get everybody else involved, and they do their parts. He'll shape it from there and come up with the lyrics and all that. But just that alone, because you might, you know, okay, we've done this, and all of a sudden something comes to your head, you're like, fuck, I gotta have a vehicle to get this out, and Shacknasty's that, you know. That's from my point of view. I know can't speak totally for them, but I know Martell and Johnson, they just love to play. They love to play. They don't care what band they're playing. They don't care what, you know, they love to play.
Musicianship.
Oh yeah, they kind of classically love that.
Yeah.
My personal motivation is just the creativity, just getting something out there, you know, and say, hey, here's this idea I got. What can you guys do with it? It's fucking awesome.
What about for you, Ray? What drives you to keep writing music and keep producing lyrics and keep expressing yourself and
You know, you can't create without challenges. So what you need is like prodigies and elite musicians that are with you creating the whole thing.
Yes.
And then you can come in and say you're a singer-songwriter and make words, right?
Yes.
And then I'm the big star because I'm up front, right?
Yeah.
But really, it's all that eliteness that puts the pressure on me to at least compliment it in some way if I can. And that's always something that's always in the back of my mind is, am I complimenting it or am I ruining it?
Yeah.
It's a struggle, mental back and forth, but hopefully I'm complimenting it. Greg, Ray, Martell, and Colt and Zion, they're all just really great musicians, and I'm lucky to be there. It's kind of like riding a wave of luckiness.
Yeah.
Because those guys are good. And
yeah, he's being humble. I mean, it's
I really am telling the truth.
Greater than some of our parts.
And you know, without me, there would be another Shacknasty.
I think that there's a lot of legacy bands. I think back on bands like Kiss, right? They've had Tommy Thayer, they've had Vinnie Vincent, they've had Eric Carr, Eric Singer. They've kind of plug and played, but you know, I think as long as there's some semblance of consistency within the band, I think that bands that are greater than the sum of their parts are interesting like that. And I call them legacy bands, like kind of like a legacy mantle in comics, right? Like we were talking about before the podcast started. You know, there's been a few different Iron Mans, people that have put on the suit. There's been a few different Hawkeyes or Green Arrows. You know, there's different people that pick up the mantle and continue on with something greater than the individuals within the band. And I think that's an interesting thing about your guys' band, because I mean, this idea has been going on for, this idea of Shacknasty has been going on for almost 25 years or more, right? I mean, 1996 is when you and your brother started the band, and then in Johnson, and then now today in 2021, you guys are still playing with the same moniker. You guys are still going out there trying to give rock to the people, trying to express yourself, trying to put out original.
I was going to correct you. It's like, not 25 years, and I'm doing the math. I'm like, fuck.
I can add all the way up to 100.
I was going to say, no, not more than 10, I'm sure. Wait, what? He said 96? Well, yeah, shit.
But I think that's an interesting, conceptually to me, that's super interesting. I feel like when you're in a situation like you guys are, and you have the ability to get, you know, I mean, Ray's your guys' singer now, and it brings something new to the band to kind of revitalize it and bring it back. Like you said, you feel like the band is more diverse. You have more of a pinnacle of performance than you've ever reached before. I would venture to say that you're
by far the best version of the band.
I mean, I feel like walking out like that scene from Roots. You remember that a long time ago where he holds up the baby to the sky at night and he goes, "Behold, the only thing greater than yourself."
Yeah.
Because this album is awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
I'm excited for you guys, man.
I'm excited.
I think that when I look at you guys doing something like you're doing and continuing to produce music, continuing to put out videos, because you guys were filming a video, right, based on one of your singles.
Like you said earlier, everything we do up here DIY.
Yeah,
you know,
which Greg Johnson surprised everyone with video talent and Stooch. Yeah, he can create these awesome videos that blow our minds all the time, you know. Who was doing your guys' recording for your World War IV video, for your guys' Anywhere video? Was Calvin Casey one of the individuals?
He helped out with that. Yeah, we've had some help. We've had some outside help with that. Calvin Casey did a little bit. He filmed the parts where I'm riding my Harley through the redwoods there. And Anywhere. What's his name? Paul Kreitz or whatever? Kreitz. Sorry, man, I can't think. We love all the guy from Cape. We played live. Oh yeah. Some of that footage got in the World War IV video. Yeah, the Cape guys there, and geez, man, you put me out. Yeah, I should have done some research. Like, wrote down some people. Well, I told you we'd be surprised.
I'm a nasty expert over here, man.
But our friends have been invaluable through the whole process. Yeah, we really have had a lot of help. It's not like we're just doing it all our own.
Is it Bob West that did the?
We have to ask for help, and people step forward and help us. I mean, it's great.
Having been in music,
Burkhorst. Brian. Mustang for that. Brian, I thought it was Donnie.
Yeah, the drone wouldn't work by the drone wouldn't work by the airport, so he just carried it around.
Oh yeah, I heard you guys couldn't use the. You guys had
the airport.
You guys were set up to use the drone footage, but the drone's right next to our local airport.
Carried it around like it's flying.
Oh man!
And I have another drone footage idea that I got from him that I'm not going to put on this podcast because he never used it. We might rip it off.
Go ahead. I forget what I told you, so remind me so I can steal it back from you.
Second bridge.
Oh yeah.
Set up the Schlocks are going to set up on second bridge. I thought it was a badass idea. We told them they're going to set up, jam with their instruments.
You guys have my permission.
Yeah, my blessing. Drone fly over them and then.
You know, I'm just going to tell you on live shows, you should just get rid of the long socks. I'm sure you have beautiful feet.
Oh yeah, that was me. That was Taylor. Taylor, I love that though. I love that. And I was going to ask you guys about this too, what you guys thought about. But I love the fact that he had a persona on stage when we would play. Taylor McCoy is lead guitarist for the Schlocks and for Grey Daisies, a band I used to be in. For those of you that don't know, Taylor would always come out and he'd have his shorts on. He'd have his basketball shorts on. He'd have these long tube socks with the stripes on, super classic. He'd have his skate shoes on, his skateboarder shoes on. He had this baseball tee that he wore with a question mark on it. And it was cool because he had this persona about him. You know, it was kind of almost reminded me, and he'd hate that I say this because I'm sure he finds him super obnoxious, but like Angus Young, kind of like that schoolboy persona.
Yeah.
And he had a thing about him. When you saw him, you never forgot him when he would play, you know what I mean? He'd drop to his name. We could be playing for 15 people eating their paninis at Anateca, or we could be playing for 90 people at Katie Palooza at Latitude 42. And regardless of how many people showed up for whatever show that we played, he would give every performance his all. I mean, he'd just get into it and rip it. And I think that's an interesting component of the music is I don't want to call it pageantry, but the performance aspect of it too.
Show. Yeah, you put on more of a show, So
I could have swore you had long white socks on though.
I don't recall. I don't think that was me. I think that was the skinnier guy, the taller guy. I'll say not skinny or lean, but the taller guy. Yeah. No, I pretty much. I was pretty low key. I usually just had a hat, t-shirt, jeans on. I wasn't super effective in call it self-marketing. How do you guys find now that the scene has changed as far as gigging goes, as far as booking gigs, as far as the performances you see, the bands that you play with, the scene as it's progressed in the Pacific Northwest specifically?
What time frame? You talking in the last couple of years or since you started?
Over the course of each of your musical careers in general. I mean, since from the first band that you were in to now, what changes do you guys see in gigging, in performances, in festivals? What kind of shifts in the paradigm are you seeing?
I could probably give you the quick answer from my perspective. He's played more places and in bigger areas. He grew up in the Sacramento area and played in some bands that had some people that went on to do big things. But as far as my experience, which is mostly limited to Northern California, it's like that old thing. I mean, if you're like a cover band can get a gig anywhere, and get paid for it. Yeah. But you're just doing other people's music, And as far as live music, that seems to have kind of come and gone, whether it's, and it goes back and forth, whether it's in vogue or not, I guess,
Yeah.
Live music. There was a time, when I was in the Army, I was stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington. I was up by the Seattle area. It was early to mid 90s, and that was when the grunge scene hit big. And every freaking bar you went to had some badass band, and everybody really wanted to hear that kind of music, and they wanted to hear live music, and they wanted to hear original music. That was a really cool time for people who didn't want to go hear a fucking cover band. They wanted to hear some new fucking band, even if they weren't that good. I want to hear somebody. I want to see what these people are coming up with, and that's kind of the scene I came into when I came into the mid to late 90s. And that kind of waned for a while in the areas I was in, and then I wasn't even active in any kind of music scene for a while there, from 2001 to probably until we got going here, 2014 or 15 or whatever that was. So there was a big gap there where I wasn't really involved in anything. And then when I started up here, it's a much smaller area, so the venues are smaller. But having the background we do, the Shacknasty guys and these guys and their different places they've played, it's like one of the reasons I think we stand out as a pretty good band around here, because we kind of put together a pretty professional show, I think.
I think so as well.
And he could probably elaborate, give you a better answer than I can for that, because he's been doing it longer in different places.
Okay, I will answer that question because I've been doing this for a long time. And the most important thing has always been to me that you stay true to yourself.
That was my
and you
mom
make
threw on it.
original music, and you take a lot of hits for that. A lot of people criticize that you play only original music and you don't want to play what anyone wants to hear. It's real tough, especially for 35 years. And then I would say at the beginning of my live shows, which was a long, long time ago, because I'll be 55 this May, was
You can edit that part out.
I was always excited about the gigs because we would either be the opener or the middle show or what everyone coveted, which was the headliner, right?
Yeah.
And so back in the green room or the dressing room or whatever you want to call it, which was like a closet with a mop or whatever, where we got ready or drank a little bit, whatever, it's so competitive that they wouldn't even talk to us. And I was like looking forward to the collaboration and networking of musicians and artists that wanted to like make our area excel in excellence as far as music was. And it was just one disappointment after another, and it actually actuated in over time into these battle of the bands, right? So there was like never any togetherness or networking or anything that I thought that it would really be like.
Yeah.
And so I think that over time, and especially up north here, there's a little bit different attitude towards that, or maybe time has just passed me by and
No, I think
it's not like that anymore. But
it seems like there's not a lot of people trying to foster an actual music scene for live original
it
music.
shouldn't be competitive. It should be a collaborative effort like any other arts or cultural event, that where when you go, everyone's working together for the same goal, which is to enlighten the people with art.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
let me ask you this, if you don't mind if I interrupt you.
No problem.
I got a question for you. You mentioned the Battle of the Bands thing. That was actually, I kind of left that part of the story out earlier, but that was the demise of Clearly Distorted. We did this Battle of the Bands. It didn't turn out well, and there was kind of some internal squabbling. That was kind of the beginning of that.
Some infighting.
That was only a week after we opened for Black Rose, and they were so accommodating and helpful, right? So we'd seen we'd seen the nasty side of it, where battle every band for himself, dog eat dog, battle the band shit, where we're talking shit about the other bands and trying to sabotage each other, and then playing with a band that was actually helping us out. And so I know, and he came from different areas, but we ended up at the same spot where we both, I think, feel like we would rather help out other bands, help foster a local music scene rather than just try to be competitive or talk shit or sabotage other bands or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And the question I had for you was, did you feel like we were helpful for you guys when you played that gig with us at Latitude 42?
Well, and that's something that I wanted to touch on too, is that I wanted to thank you guys for giving us that opportunity, because that was our first big show. I think our previous show before that was just me and Taylor at Vista Pub with a bass and a guitar before we had Kyle join the band. And it was just us playing, and that was great, and we had a lot of fun. But having another established band kind of bring you in and be like, hey, you guys want to go ahead and open up for us? Well, fuck yeah, we want to open up for you guys. And you're on a stage and you have another band that you're headlining, or that you're opening for, and that they're headlining behind you and kind of bringing in some of their audience too, because a lot of people come to see you guys all the time. Whenever you guys play, you guys can play anywhere, and you guys will have a core group of your fans that'll always come see you. And to be able to expose ourselves in our style of music, because what we were doing at the time too, like you said, playing original music, people would ask, hey, we're trying to hand out flyers, and they're going, what kind of music is it? It's like, it's all original. They're going, oh, okay, well, yeah, if I can make it, I'll make it. But to have a more established band full of veteran musicians come to you and give you an opportunity like that. And I think for the Katy Palooza, I mean, what better opportunity could you get than to come together for someone in the community? The whole vibe around that first gig that we were able to do as a full band was invaluable. I mean, I don't think that was our first gig, but that was our first really big gig where a lot of people showed up, and they were there to see you guys, and they were there to see Caucasians in Crisis, and they were there to see Tom Sheets and people that they had seen play before that they knew they liked.
Tommy, yeah,
old Tommy Sheets.
We've had him play with us some other gigs too. Actually, he opened up for us at that River Fest, we called it, we did on the Checo.
I love Tom's style.
Cool dude.
But yeah, fostering a community of musicians, I think, is important. I think it's something that's lost. There's a lot of that crab in the bucket mentality of trying to drag people down and trying to. There's a lot of I don't think the competitive nature of like a battle of the bands type scenario. I think that can be fun and it can be motivating. But I think a lot of times people get so competitive. They're like, well, we're the only rock band around here, motherfucker. And it's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
There's room for everybody. You know what I mean? Are you going to play a 6-hour set? No? Well, let's play from 6 to midnight and let's both get our chance to get up there and do our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw.
Do you want to keep rock alive, or you want to kill it, or what's your goal? Or
it's so hard to find a rock bands nowadays that are playing original music and live shows. I mean, obviously with the COVID pandemic, that's a completely different set of hurdles.
Well, I'll tell you this much though. One thing you do know is any of these bands that are playing rock or metal or some punk, that kind of thing. If they're doing it, they're doing live, and they're doing originals. You know they're in it for the music because there's no fucking money in it.
No,
not on this level, and not even on the big level. Even on the Billboard top whatever, there's rock doesn't sell anymore. You got hip hop, rap, and maybe a little bit of country or whatever. But
yeah.
So nobody that's doing our style of music is doing it for the money. That's a fucking fact. So me personally, I can appreciate that. Like if I'm in Crescent City and Inateca or Jorge's place out there, the Mexican restaurant out there,
Gordy Bros.
God, I'm drawing a blank here, but
Yum.
yeah, great food. But like if one of those places, or even Sequay, whoever, if they was advertising, they had an original band. I don't care if they're local or not, but if it's an original band, I'm going to make an effort to go see it because that's just my thing.
Yeah,
I'm into it. And I know they're doing it because you can appreciate their passion. You know, and there's some good cover bands, of course, too. That can be fun too. You know, there's been some good cover bands.
Yeah, I love cover bands too.
My thing is just I like original music. You know. They may not always, they're not always good, but it's still cool, which is why you said you hand out the flyers and they're like, oh, it's originals? Let's see if I can make it.
It kind of puts a bad taste in people's mouths. There's a lot of negative experiences.
I've played with big names before, you know, Chris Isaac in Oakland at the Omni, and then you can't even approach the guy and say hi or nothing, and then the next month, I'm at my cousin's wedding sitting next to his mom in Stockton. You know, he's the same guy as I am. Frank Hannon. Brian Wheat says none of my songs have a hook.
Is that the guy from Tesla or whatever?
Yeah, the Tesla guys. You know, it's all the Sacramento music scene. You know, we played with some guys that could have been more humble, maybe. But I think it's a learning experience for if you were to go beyond hobby, stay humble.
Is it hard?
And talk to your opening acts, and let's network and encourage art.
Yeah.
100%. Let's not discourage art.
With the guitar skills I have, it's really, really easy for me to stay humble.
And you know, and I
think you're being pretty self-deprecating.
No, I struggle with cover tunes because we did cover tunes way back when we were starting out, right?
Yeah.
So I try and resist these guys when they come up with a cover tune, but
I think the only cover song I ever heard you guys do was at our last gig when you did War Pigs, and I thought you killed it.
It takes so much energy.
But it makes it a treat when it's in the middle of a set. You know, sometimes people might be tuning out and then they hear something familiar people that haven't been to your show, and it kind of tunes them back into the set. You know, and I thought you killed it, man. I thought you guys did a great job.
I was actually proud of it because we hadn't killed it in rehearsal all the way.
You had to rehearse that.
That song's
like you wrote the whole song.
Yeah,
you know?
Because it's famous, so you have to play it spot on. Either completely make it your own, or if you're just doing it as a cover song like we did, you got to play it spot on.
When you're trying to do Ozzy's vocals and Randy Rhoads' guitar, and you're trying to, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you got your chops, you know, or Tony Allen, you got your
the original Black Sabbath guys. But yeah, so we.
I'm sure Taman did.
You got your work cut out for you when you're attempting a cover.
We practiced that a few times because we kind of decided we were going to do that maybe a couple weeks before that gig. Hey, let's do a cover song for the fucking. We don't usually do them. Let's do one. Somehow we came up with that one, and it was a motherfucker trying to do that thing, and then. I don't know if we ever played it. I don't know that anytime we played it, one of the 5 or more did not play it right. Somebody's fucking up every time we played it.
Yeah.
Until that gig. That gig, we did nail it. I'll pat myself on the back for that. We somehow nailed it at that gig.
But the time we spent on it, we could have wrote 2 songs.
Yeah, which is fair.
That's the other thing too. Yeah,
But I think in that set, I think, and I don't have the best. I've been hitting the head a lot. If you can't tell by the fucking cut on my eye right now. Thank you, Haven Kookie. If I recall correctly, I think right after that song, you guys played World War IV. And like I said, I think and this is my perception of it from being in the audience at that point, you know, when we were kind of breaking down our stuff and still packing out a little bit of our stuff while you guys were up on stage. But it kind of tunes people back in, and then they hear the next song and they're going, is this another Sabbath song, or is this a, you know what I mean? And they're listening to it and they're like, no man, this is one of theirs. It's actually on their album. And you check it out, here's their album, and they go, well fuck, I gotta have this. You know what I mean? And then that's what brings them up to your stand. That's what gets them checking you guys out on Spotify, right? You guys are on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, yeah. And I think that's one of those things that when you can have a cover song and it's strategically placed within the set, you know what I mean? Not a whole set list of cover songs. Like you said, you could have spent the exact same amount of time and maybe written 2 originals, but to kind of pay homage to a band that I would assume, you know, for the era inspired you guys, and kind of pay a little homage and have some fun with it. You know, you guys had I remember your stagecraft, you guys had the projector up behind, and you guys had all the images.
Oh yeah, we were trying some special effects, right?
Man, that was cool. I thought that was badass. Yeah. You guys had like I don't remember. It's like a decaying apple or like bugs crawling all over a corpse and stuff. Man, it was badass. I thought that was really cool visually, you know, because around here
give you something more to look at than just
fucking my dumb ass up there fucking sitting there like making the bass face when I'm trying to do my solo. My mouth's moving for some reason, even though I'm not singing. You know,
the thing is about doing a cover song, though. The main thing to me is. I hate it when people come up and they say, what are your influences? What are your influences? Because they're trying so hard to unidentify you from your originality.
Trying to pigeonhole you into.
So yeah, it's like, no man, I'm you too.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is. I'm not original. Or whatever they, you know, they want to hear you say, oh man, I love Chris Cornell and the Stone Temple Pilots and all these other bands and this and that. And so then you're them now.
Yeah.
You're not original Shacknasty. So I hate that question.
Yeah.
It's always a weird question too, because I understand too why if somebody hasn't heard you, why they might ask it, because they're trying to figure out what kind of music you would sound like. And that's hard. It's really hard to do. You probably had a hard time trying to get the blocks into a, how would you describe it? Somebody else would probably be able to describe it better than you could. I think that about us. I would ask somebody else, hey, what would you think we sound like? Because
what are some of the funnier, and I'll share the ones that we got, but what are some of the funnier bands that you've heard people compare you guys to? Things that struck you guys as funny.
Herman and the Hermits. What was that one band that was? I don't know.
Okay, I'll tell you, but I hate it. Someone said I sounded like Cher after a show once.
Someone said you sound like Cher?
I was depressed for a week, dude.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. If someone's comparing you to a multi-platinum album-selling, world-renowned artist, you know what I mean? Whether it's the type of song or whether it's whether it's your beautiful falsetto or whatever it is, you know.
It's very humbling, I'll tell you that. So
it's funny. Well, because we got some of the same stuff, you know. People would be like, man, you guys remind me like a lot of either the Doors or like the Talking Heads. It's like those aren't even close to each other, you know what I mean? And it's funny to hear people try to I keep using the word pigeonhole, and I don't think that's the right word, but people to try to fit you into this subgenre, this certain category, you know, it's like, what kind of band are you? And you try not to be too pretentious where you're like, well, we're a post alternative pop punk grunge, you know, and it's like you try to add all these prefixes onto your genre to give somebody a frame of reference for what type of music to expect if they show up to your show or if they download your album, without like you said, lumping yourself in and being like, well, we're basically trying to be a Nirvana cover band, you know. Right. And it's like,
that's what they're searching for. They're trying to search for the separation between your originality and what really is going on.
Yeah.
Right. But if your influences are anywhere from Sting to Black Sabbath, I mean, how do you narrow it down, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe you like opera and orchestras,
and the other guy, and the guys in the band as individuals, we all have pretty different shit we listen to. That's not necessarily the stuff that makes it into Shacknasty, but like I like blues a lot. I know that Martel, our bass player, is into some really weird shit.
Oh, the worst question is when you've worked all these hours and days and weeks and months on this song, and someone goes, "What's it mean?" And you're like, do you really want me to ruin the interpretation of 350 million people?
Yeah.
Because they're all going to get to have enjoyment in their own way from their own interpretation of it. It's not,
say 150 million.
Let me narrow it down to, you know what? It's about a grape.
Well, but that's
everyone needs to think about grapes.
Talking about, past, present, and future, though, too. You don't know who will end up appreciating your music in the future. You know what I mean? Think about the kids that are alive now. And I knew a lot of these guys in high school that were like me. It's kind of like a surfer type guy, hung out with like the skater kids. And we're these kids that are born in the early 90s. And then by the time we reach, pubescence and we're getting into rock and we're trying to find angst, we're looking back 4 or 5 generations and we're looking at music from the 60s. We're looking at music from the 70s. And
that shit never died. That's what's kind of cool about that era. Yeah.
But I mean, there's people that are still into jazz and swing. There's people that are still into classical music. People that still listen to Mozart. People that still listen to Bach. You don't know the reach that your music is going to have long after you're gone. You never know who's going to, especially now with the internet, nothing disappears. Nothing's gone. Nothing's lost. Musicians 500 years ago, let's say, some guy in Rome playing the lute on the corner for change, he's not ever going to be remembered in the way that you guys are, just for the fact that with media the way it is now, once something's on the internet, it's never going away. You guys will always have, and that's the one thing that I regret so much about the Gray Daisies. And we had some of our live performances recorded, but we never got to cut an album and or an EP, and it was or an LP rather.
Did you guys record a live show?
Yeah, we recorded a few of our live shows and we took snippets and stuff like that. But to actually produce a studio quality album the way that you guys are, that's going to last forever. In the time that it takes, where the brotherhood of the band dissipates and the camaraderie and the tribalism that exists within a band, like you said, that welcoming environment like Black Rose fostered, because they literally were all brothers.
They were so cool, man, and they could have not been like that. They were just some punk kids who were going to open for them at the fairground. Everybody's there to see them.
It fosters a community, though.
Yeah, they were cool.
You don't know.
Away,
Your community could last far beyond what you would think now in the moment that it would. Didn't you guys have correct me if I'm wrong, you guys had one of your songs ended up on some charts here recently, right? On
that was the other Johnson, our drummer, and Stooch, we'll say Stooch and Raimondo Martello.
Yeah.
So those guys have another kind of side band they do.
Black GTO?
Black GTO.
Okay. Yeah.
With his awesome guitarist named Vince Dana, and then Nick Martell. His son. Ray's son plays rhythm guitar in that band. They're really cool rock band. Hard rock, I guess you'd call it. And they recently put out an album, Second Gear. I know that you can buy it locally in Crescent City, and I'm sure you could download it on Spotify or iTunes. I'm sure they got it on that stuff.
Yeah.
And that thing, they had a song or two that charted. I'm not sure what the things were, but something on the internet there. I know Soldier charted. And
well, that's what's so cool about
country tinged song
collaboration, having people in the band that are in multiple projects at the same time, because somebody might go over to that album, Second Gear by Black GTO, and then they go, man, I really like this guy's bass licks. What is he in? Oh, he has another band too? Let's check this out. And then, like you said, by the time you guys get Singularity out, hopefully sometime in the next month for all the fans, you never know. I mean, the ability to connect and reach people is an all-time high. The ease with which media is accessible to individuals. I mean, you get you know what I mean? This podcast hits the right person, and then they see it and they go, oh, I'll check these guys out. They gave a compelling interview. This is interesting perspectives. Yeah. And then they download your album, you know what I mean? And then now you got a fan and he shares it with his cousin who's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You never know the reach that your music is going to have, and whether that reach is having one person identify with it and you turn their shit ass day into a better day because they're going home and they're going, I'm a giant wind making machine, and they're singing along on their way home.
A compliment, right? And Vince,
you could turn their whole day around, or you could change their life. You never know.
Put us on the map, Vince. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't you appreciate that?
Or vice versa, you know what I mean? Somebody could listen to one of your guys' albums and go find them. And
but
I think it's an interesting concept.
Why not support each other 100%?
Definitely, man. I think that's something that's been so cool about you guys, because you were so welcoming. You guys were so inviting. You guys were, hey, man, that was a really good set. And you gave us kind of, because after we walked off the stage, that first show we did, we were kind of like, well, hope that went well, because from the stage perspective, the first person, you don't really know how people perceive yourself.
You know the couple of notes you might have missed, or where somebody came in at the wrong. You know that, but the audience mostly doesn't. So
like, 9 times out of 10, if I'm in the audience and I have a couple of these in my hand, or I've swigged a couple of them, I'm not going to realize the note that you missed, or if you flubbed a lyric, or you changed they for them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the feel, and you guys have a real feel to your music that when you're sitting there, you kind of find yourself like when I find my body reacting separately from my mind when music is playing, even if I'm having a conversation over here and I'm having some beers with the fellas, or we're shooting pool at your guys' show, and I find my body moving to it, I think there's something intrinsically powerful about that is beyond expression in words, that it resonates with people, man. I think that you guys have found that sound, and I'm really excited for your next album, man.
I think we know that when we make mistakes, just the regular person in the crowd won't know, and we're confident of that. But when other musicians like yourself are there,
well, my dumb ass,
it makes it a little bit more
maybe Taylor or Nick or Powell would notice, but
that guy knows I just sang the chorus backwards. Well, dyslexia, I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, dyslexia, I think is
it's
dyslexia.
Right. But as far as where Ray Martell sits, sometimes I get envious because he's got bands coming in and out all the time.
Yeah.
And what a great way to appreciate music, right? So after they get done being excellent, and then he's got such a positive reinforcement too while you're working there,
Just to do a little quick shout out off the top of my head, he's recorded Cut It Like the Kings.
Oh yeah.
He recorded their
Alan Hemmingson, right? He's
John Mendoza, and those guys, awesome band, cool dudes.
Yeah,
they
really
put on
nice.
really fun live.
Those guys are really nice.
Yeah,
and
they were another band that reached out to us. We never got the chance to do a show with them, but also
they're really cool guys. Yeah.
Wren Linen, what's the band that she does? They
oh yeah, he had a project with a Los Angeles band that came up all
Wren
the way.
Linen, she's local, but she's been in a band that's been out for a while. They've got stuff. They had videos on MTV back in the day.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's been working with GTO.
Black GTO, yeah.
A
little band called Shacknasty.
Yeah.
Singularity, though, back on the sub, because I can't remember, we'll have to edit that part out. I can't remember Wren Linen's freaking band name.
Well, buddy, the 9 Coors Lights that you had probably didn't help you. I didn't know they made 9-packs, but you killed those things. Being wildly irresponsible. I can't believe you. It'll come to you when you stop thinking about it.
On the drive home.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys, going around, having performed with some bigger artists and things like that, Ray, in the past, have you found yourself in a position to where, if given the opportunity, there's other bands or other musicians that you would like to collaborate with, or other people that you find yourself aligning with, as far as people that, I know you guys have done some shows with Disturbing the Peace, which is a great local cover band too. Is there anybody that's really stood out and really not necessarily come to your aid, but some other local musicians that really stand out to you guys that you feel strongly about one way or the other, as far as like kind of that brotherhood or tribal atmosphere? Who else is out there, would you say, that's kind of doing it like
so
you
mean
guys?
To like have shows with, or do you mean to collaborate with and write music,
or other musicians that you bounce ideas off of, or that you kind of have little skull sessions with, or that you guys?
You had that one dude that you played guitar with. I don't think I ever met him, but
Polly.
You guys both played guitar.
Oh, Polly's, yeah. Well, I try to get together with different musicians, but mostly it's like mentoring them to their goals. But they can do it. Just try and help them a little bit. Like Polly, he wants to do like kind of like an Irish folk gig, but we start off just getting him going on the guitar and doing songs off the music sheets, and so now he's on his own now. So that whole goal was completed. And then, but as far as like collaboration with other musicians, as long as they're into original music,
Yeah.
I'm into that. I did do some shows in the past with some cover bands. That's how I started way back when. We love doing all kinds of crazy songs when I was younger.
What's the name of some of those bands? Because you had some cool band names, like Camping Trip.
Oh yeah, we had.
Yeah, you were telling me some of these names.
We had the Drastics.
You were talking about it.
We had the Drastics, and our little saying was Drastics and Romantic because we were young guys. That's this way.
Yeah.
And
I was rather drastic.
And then Drastics turned to Overnight Blonde.
Yeah.
And then when Overnight
Blonde.
And then Overnight Blonde was really a popular band in Sacramento, but when we broke up, Doug, the bass player, went off and formed Oleander. And so Oleander went and did like 2 or 3 records, I think with American Records or something. But and then after that, we had a band called Camping Trip, where I always felt really intimidated because the musicians were so prodigies of the instrument. The young guy on the guitar, Chet Egbert, he couldn't even come into the clubs with us because he was underage.
Oh, fuck.
He was that good at a younger age. So we had to sneak him in the back door onto the stage, and then he had to leave right away, and the manager was watching this whole time.
Yeah, making sure he didn't sneak in.
But the Camping Trip put out a really good album, and then I went on to Mama String Bean, which we were together for 7 years, and we did, I think, 2 really good short albums that I thought were excellent. And then I took my hiatus. I just did like stuff on my own and
doing a lot of writing,
maybe play with some cover bands or myself, this and that, just to keep a little busy. But there's nothing like the release that you get from a well-groomed rock band that's tight.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what makes rehearsal enjoyable is when you go, when rehearsal feels like work, it's kind of a bummer, man.
Yeah.
You go there looking forward to it and wanting to.
I'd say the funnest time.
Get it out. Get it all out.
When the songs coming together. We're starting.
Red smoke flows all I see. Hot fire. Coldness all I feel. Unreal. Huh?
Badass.
Plug your guitar in and do that, Jack. Huh? Can you get that all out on your guitar?
When you guys have that creative process going on, when you guys are in the room together and you bring some lyrics and you bring a melody and you have some riffs that you want to get out and you guys take part A and part B and you want to put them together and start creating a song, what's the creative process like for you guys? Do you do the standard, especially now that you're starting from the recording process and kind of getting those reps in the studio? What's that process like? Are you guys doing the traditional building from the time signatures? You're going from the metronome to doing the drums and then bass, rhythm, lead, vocals. Are you guys working in that traditional fashion? What's the creative process like for you guys now in Redwood Studios? Everything you have more experience than you've ever had. You have more time together than you've ever had. You guys self-admittedly are tighter than you've ever been, creating more diverse, more complex music than you've ever created. More, it seems like from the way that you guys are describing, more fulfilling than ever, kind of creating more of the product that you've always wanted to.
Yeah, I think the finished product on this is going to be better than we've had before. I'd say the
how's the process changed for you guys over the years? I mean,
I think on this album it's similar to the last one. The creative, it's been kind of rearranged a little bit and shortened, kind of. Like you were saying earlier, we didn't have time to like kind of flesh these out live, where you might change a part, or maybe we're gonna make this part longer because the crowd is really into that part, and we instead of ending it at 4 measures, we'll go 8 or whatever. So we don't have that feedback part, but most of the songs is one of us will have an idea, we'll have a framework for a song, the main riff, and I'd say here's the intro, here's the riff, here's the main part, and then Taman will say here's he'll kind of add some little things here and there and decide where he might put a lead guitar part, solo or whatever.
Yeah.
And Bartel will come up with a bass line, and then usually kind of have something, and we give it to him and say, hey, do something with this, and he'll either have some lyrics maybe he already wrote, he can match to it, or he'll write lyrics specifically to the song. I guess you do different things depending upon the song.
Kind of restructure it based on what you want to is the finished product.
My proudest thing is about this album, and probably the last two, was that the diversity of the songs is like crazy, you know, like you hear some of these really prominent artists, like for example, Tool, which I admire a lot. I mean, I'm not saying I don't like Tool, but it's like on track 10 sounds like track 1. You know, the guy's doing the same thing again, you know. So we go from a song like, you know, the one I just sang, what's that song? Unreal, to a song where I'm going, if you don't touch me, well, I'll jump off a bridge. If you don't touch me, well, I'll jump off a bridge. And it's like a punk feel.
Punk when I saw you.
And then the next song is completely different. And so that's what I'm the most proud of. It's kind of a short album. It's only 9 songs, but you know, I like the diversity of the music. It's original music.
I think we nailed it. I think we nailed it with the 9 also, because we could write a few more songs just to make the album longer if we want, but it's like these 9 songs are good already.
Yeah, and we really work hard at it. Like I was telling Ray Martell in the studio today, I go, I'm so proud that we don't like take a song that we really like and dissect it and go, well, we can change it a little and then we can make it this song. You know, we're not plagiarizing at all. We're coming up with this stuff ourselves. And so I'm hoping everyone appreciates it and what we've done, because that's the whole reward.
In retrospect, now looking back on some of the tracks that you guys have recorded, like you were saying, Jesse, about not having the audience feedback and going, oh, let's make the crowds seem to dig this part, so let's kind of draw this out a little bit, or they seem to like this format, or kind of changing the music to fit what you think the crowd enjoys. Do you find it to be more in the vein of just pure self-expression, not having taken any of that stuff into consideration because none of these songs have heard ears in a live setting?
I guess it's possible.
Ray and I talked about that today. He goes, you know, we've written this album for ourselves.
Yeah, right.
We hope everyone likes it.
Yeah.
Because we've written it basically to please ourselves.
Well, you nailed it. Having done your own music, I guess
it's all about us.
I love people when you start to get, like, you guys are established enough to where you have fans and stuff, like I said, that show up for every gig. And we had, like, my mom show up for every gig, which was great. Love you, Mom. But do you guys find that kind of freeing in a way to not have to take into consideration crowd expectations?
I mean, if you're at our level, if you're considering crowd expectations, I mean, that's like, you said, just thinking we're going to make money. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, we had 30 people. We're thrilled. We love that.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you really want out of 30 people? Just a couple of
small areas.
Just want to thank them for coming. That's all.
Yeah. I think that's cool about smaller time bands and not putting that expectation on yourself.
You know, we're helping a local business make much more money than they normally would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're not making any money, really.
It will be neat, though, to get this out there and see how people react. People have not heard these songs, these new ones at all. We haven't played any. Well, AI is the only one that we played live once or twice. It didn't make it on the last album, but because our bass player Martell wrote that song, and so we kind of fleshed that song out. It's been played a couple times live, but it was kind of already pretty formatted by Martell. This is how it's going to go. So that didn't change much anyway. But besides that song, every other song we've written since then, and nobody's heard these besides a handful of people. Nate Trim has come in the studio.
Yeah, Trim Daddy. Shout out to Snatchmo.
Kelly Shed, we call him Belfray. He's come in and helped out a little bit. So we've had a couple friends come in, but the general public is nobody's heard any of these songs.
Yeah.
And anyway, God help you if the music industry got a hold of you, right? Because you wouldn't be doing anything you dreamed of anyway.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people that end up making it, you kind of, the first album is brilliant, and then the second album is reflection on how the first album robbed them of their musical innocence, and it's, I think that's one of the cool things about being in the situation you guys are, where you can take your time and you don't have to rush anything out. You can make things you want. There's no expectations on you from anybody beyond yourselves. But it seems like you guys hold yourselves to a really high standard.
We do.
Whether that's your live performances, whether that's, like I said, looking at some of the videos, and you guys, I love too that I watch your guys, some of the videos you put out on your social media when you guys are in the studio recording. Everyone's smiling, everyone's laughing, you guys are hamming it up and having a good time, and you can see, you really can't fake that. And I don't know if it's corny to call it like a brotherhood, but you can't fake that intangible essence that you get when you're watching guys get together and play music and laugh and have fun and joke around and give each other shit in the studio. And it seems like you guys had a lot of fun creating this album.
Those guys are goofballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's totally serious, so.
I can tell he's serious all the time.
It could be funnier, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome.
That's what's important, right?
Yeah. If you guys, what was Collective Soul, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They had they were kind of one of those bands, like a journeyman band, where they went for a long time and they didn't have a ton of monetary success or commercial success, and then they had, you know, their one big album, their hit song, and then
allegations and things left unsaid.
And then I forget the name of their drummer, but he kind of, as soon as that album dropped and they all kind of got their $1 million check, he was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to the woods. I'm going to go live in the fucking woods. Leave me alone. I'm done. I did my 25 years. It took me 25 years to get to the point where I got $1 million check. I'm going to go self-sustain, you know. What, looking at hypothetical, if you will, grant me the hypothetical. If tomorrow you released the new album, the single hit the charts, you guys got a good check, are you still going just for the sake of self-expression?
I'm gonna tell these motherfuckers what I really think of them. That's what I'm gonna oh, is this live?
What? That was out.
I have an outlet for a controversial podcast if you ever want to just rail on me.
It would be awesome though if, you know, if that happened, just because then you wouldn't have to show up to work every day, and this could be your life, because we take a lot of our free time dedicated to the band around work and other responsibilities. But if, you know, if you got the big payday or whatever, then you could only do this. I would like to think it'd be cool if we could keep doing it, but who knows? I mean, everybody's different. We got 5 individuals in the band. I mean, maybe somebody else is like, hey, I'm gonna go live in the woods. I got my $1 million paycheck. I don't know. Everyone
has their own perspective on the commercialization of music, right? And nobody, like you said, if you're out there, you're writing original music, you're playing gigs, even if they're small, just for the sake of getting out there and expressing yourself and having fun and performing, and kind of letting that cathartic thing go, you know what I mean? Getting that catharsis from it. What do you think about, I think one of the websites is called Yellow Taxi, where it's basically you create, from my understanding, from what I've looked into it, where you create an account and there's media companies out there, like say Sons of Anarchy needs a song to play on the jukebox in the background of the bar fight scene. And they have basically, like they do with voice acting, where they have auditions. So the animation is done, let's say for like a cartoon, right? Like a Family Guy. And then they have 10 people submit audio lines for it, and they pick whichever guy's voice sounds best. And then they pay you based on whatever. Like I said, they could license for $25,000 Sympathy for the Devil to play in the background of their bar fight scene, or they have these other smaller bands or less well-known bands basically audition for that part in that. Have you guys ever looked into anything like that to try to get more exposure? Because there are a lot of mediums out there for people to get more exposure in a semi-commercialized way, but I know Taylor and Nick and Kyle were big on and myself being the less talented, you know, guy that liked being out there kind of singing and being more a performer than anything. I was less worried about the sellout aspect of it, you know, or the true musicianship, I guess, than I was about making sure that people enjoyed themselves and were entertained during the course of the performance. What do you guys think about websites like that, or opportunities like that, or methodologies to get your music more exposure? Have you guys ever looked into anything like that, or would you consider looking into things like that?
We've had like a pipe dream that we're lazy with that shit. We don't have any real marketing, and we don't have any PR guy or any management.
Your guys' website is badass.
And said I'm coming out with a new album, which I feel is semi-marketing.
Yeah,
there you go.
We DIY everything.
Yeah.
we've had like a pipe dream about he came up with the lyrics to World War IV and the name World War IV, and we always thought that would be. It's kind of unique, cool. World War IV. What if there was some new video game coming out called World War IV?
Yeah,
and
new Call of Duty.
us and they wanted to, hey, can we use your song in the background? Or if there was a new movie called World War IV. But
and I always dream that the MMA guys are going to call and go, can we use that song of yours where
we still want to make
it's not gonna be alright? Right?
Yeah. Goddamn, what's the name of that song?
It's like, it sounds like they're coming down the runway with their hood on, their box of gloves, and
it's not
getting ready for the championship race.
Yeah, it's a perfect song for that kind of arena. Excruciate. Yeah.
I was thinking about with you and a couple other guys that I know that are into the fighting stuff. Is like, hey, give me some of your personal footage that I don't have to pay for. We can make a video out of that for that.
Yeah, for a video.
But if you guys want a video of some guy getting beat up, I got plenty of footage.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want to do that. We think it's the perfect song for that type of
Warpath. Get him on
cage fighting type stuff. Yeah.
Freaking Stancliffe, because some of these guys, because we know a lot of guys are kind of in that thing.
But to get back a question, can I answer that one where you said, if you got $1 million, would you run off in the woods or whatever?
Yeah.
Over the years, there's been quite a few in-between bands, I had a 12-year hiatus between Mama String Bean and Shacknasty. Man, do you miss it? You need that release. Once a musician, always a musician. Yeah, if you don't have that release, you don't have your stability. And really, those type of people like myself, where you depend on that. You have to have it. For some reason, we're self-destructive.
There's no better high, man.
Well, I quit. And then you're doomed. You have to go through this whole purgatory problem where, and it just happened with us, where we had a misunderstanding. So for a whole year, I was regretting not having a band because I just couldn't get it all out.
Yeah. You
got to get it out. It's got to go down. You got to write it. You got to go out and perform it.
Nice to have.
And hopefully you're entertaining when it's all done. So there you go.
Definitely. I think that a lot of people get caught up in chasing the monetary success that theoretically comes with music. I remember being in essentially White Stripe, Nirvana, Soundgarden cover bands, you know what I mean, in high school with buddies, and you're jamming out in the garage. You're like, yeah, man, we're gonna write all these songs, and it's like, well, you haven't lived through anything yet, so you really don't have anything to write about.
Listen to anyone who's won the lottery or made a lot of money. They just want to be free of the responsibility of all that burden, because so they hire people, and there's 1,000 people for every million that want to take it from you. So are you going to worry about that? Do you want to worry about that?
No.
Do you want to worry about anything but just paying your bills? That's all I care about.
Yeah, even if the hobby can be self-sustaining, right? It's just enough to pay for itself.
Just pay your bills.
Yeah, pay your bills.
You don't need a whole bunch of money to worry about losing it. You want to worry about losing money or getting money, or what's your goal here? Because it's all a worry, right?
Yeah. The financial burden of, having to buy a new stomp pad, or having to buy a new mixing board, or having your amp blow out, and having you guys all be in a financially stable situation like you are now. Do you find that freeing as musicians to not have to worry about kind of some of that overhead? If you want a new mic, you have the ability to go and get yourself a new mic, or if you want to go get a new guitar and trick it out and put new pickups on it, you have the ability to do that. Do you find that freeing as a musician, whereas maybe when you were starting, it was hard even just to save up the money to...
We're in that sweet spot right now where we're not making a lot of money, that there's all these expectations, or other people telling us, you got to do this and you got to play there, you got to do this. We're not that level, obviously, but we're also not living in the gutter poor anymore. Yeah. So I can buy a new guitar or whatever. We can do that. So it kind of in a sweet spot there, I guess, in a little bit, where we're not scraping to get by. We don't have to go play this mega gig just to fucking eat dinner that night. But there certainly is starving artists out there that have to do that. So thank God we're not there anymore. But
you guys are kind of, like you said, in a sweet spot between the burden of financial success, where it's overwhelming, and you're also not burdened by, you're not destitute to the point where you're saving $10 from every check to buy a new mic that you want.
I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
When I recorded the second album that Shacknasty Jim did, Hindsight, I was in there with an old piece of shit strings on my guitar. I couldn't even afford new strings to go into a studio.
And you guys cut that in 2000, right?
That was in 99 is when we cut it. It came out in 2000, but yeah, we went to, I forget the name of that studio. It was down in Garberville, and it was through Direct Effect Records.
Was that Direct Effect Records?
Yeah, they had us down this studio out there in the middle of the friggin' woods. Pretty cool studio and all that, but we were so poor back then. We had no money and couldn't afford. Like I said, I think I had a tube that my amp that was halfway blown out. My guitar strings were rusty, and it, still got an album out of it. But it's
on every solo.
Yeah,
But don't you always want to be a struggling artist? Do you want people to know you as the pampered artist?
No, but we're not there yet either, though. That's what I'm saying. We're in the sweet spot. We're not pampered by any means. We don't make very much money off this.
You can use the equipment you want to express the things that you want.
And I'm using the same mic I used 35 years ago, the SM58. Sure, I mean, you can drop them, dent them.
I love
they
that
always
mic.
work.
I loved that mic. That was one of my
They're
favorites.
a little bit more expensive than 35 years ago, but it's 4 of them. So.
I think one of those things too, like you said, the starving artist, right? That's kind of one of those archetypes that people get caught up into. Do you find musicians that you have known in the past, or musicians that you each have worked with in the past, kind of isolate them? They kind of isolate themselves into that kind of mentality where they're like, well, if I'm going to be good, I have to be living kind of a fucked up life. You guys find that a lot? I
know a guy that's kind of like that. I don't know if that's the way he thinks about it, but he was the singer on our second album. Good dude. I don't want to say anything bad about him. I don't have anything bad to say about him, but he's kind of been like that. He's kind of been this. He's a fucking really talented musician.
Is that Kaya?
Kaya, really good singer, really good songwriter. Really, I mean, this is one of the dudes that's so mega talented. You can't imagine that he couldn't make a lot of money if he wanted to go that route. And I don't know if it's a conscious decision or not, or what it is, but he's just kind of always been that guy that kind of lives on the fringe of society and just kind of goes, kind of a drifter kind of sort of guy.
There's something romantic though, right, about that kind of idea.
I think, like it's life saying,
you don't want to, you don't want to be that person that's in that nest of comfort where they're totally isolated from the struggle that makes their songs relatable. But there's something kind of romantic about the idea of a starving artist, if you will, or a struggling artist. Something that makes it, the struggles of the everyman, to where it seems like and this isn't with, there's definitely exceptions, right? But there's this thing that happens to successful musicians where it seems like the more success they get, the harder they try to relate to the common man in futility. They don't ever seem to kind of get back down to that ground level where they can relate with the audience that propelled them necessarily to the height of the success that they ended up reaching, kind of like a Kurt Cobain type figure, right? He's kind of overcome by his own success and couldn't reconnect with that.
And I think
starving
it was
artist.
Harder for those '90s bands, for instance, because they were all kind of anti-success. Was the way they came up. Where the '80s bands, the Motley Crues and those guys, their songs even before they were big were talking about the women and the limousines and the money and all that. Yeah. So when they really made it big, it was kind of a natural transition for them because they were already singing like that. But then when you had kind of a reinvention of the rock in the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s, when these Soundgardens and Nirvana and Pearl Jam were coming out, they kind of rewrote it where like it kind of came back to basics and reality, but it was the anti-hero kind of thing.
Yeah.
On their first albums, and they were the starving artists on their first albums, and you may have 10 years to write your first album because nobody knows that, and then you get that big record deal. Now you got 6 months to make your second album. Yeah. And you're no longer a starving artist because now you're touring the world and you're happily fed. So how do you recreate that angst and all that, mad at the world and I just, I do drugs, whatever, just to take the pain away.
Your perspectives change.
Yeah, it is. And it's hard. It would be hard. So you're either going to keep thinking about the same angst, and now maybe it comes off as kind of phony because.
Exactly.
I know you're a millionaire. How are you going to tell me how bad you hate success? You're a fucking millionaire. You live in a mansion. Or you're going to, or you're a sellout in a different way and you start singing about all your great success. So they get kind of caught in a bad spot.
Yeah.
You got famous by singing about, how tough things can be and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden now things aren't tough. How are you gonna make the second album about how things are tough? We know it's not tough for you anymore. You know? So that they had that.
It's hard. You kind of paint yourself into a corner, and I know it's weird to have two metal heads on here talking about rock and roll, but like one of my favorite artists, Kid Cudi, is a rapper, And his first album, like you said, he had 10 years, his entire adolescent life up to the point in his early 20s where he released this album, and it was about growing up and maturing and kind of the heartbreaks that you go through and experimenting with hallucinogenics and stuff like that. And then he cuts that out and becomes a millionaire, has a kid. Now you know that he's living in a mansion with a wife and a kid, and he's a good dad, and not to anything to his fault. There's nothing wrong with being a good, responsible father in a financially stable household. But at the same time, when you're writing music and there's this expectation placed on you from the album that you took 10 years to meticulously write and make and produce, and then now they're like, hey man, it's been a year, where's your next album? You're like, dude, my whole life was on that first album. Do you guys find it hard to take experiences from the recent past and internally digest them and come out with maybe not necessarily the lessons that those life experiences teach you, but to articulate, and especially in the lyrics of music, the feelings and the experiences and the thoughts that you have that you want to express? Do you find it hard in a condensed time frame to try to, I mean, you guys said you're trying to get this album released by March. Do you feel any sort of pressure like that to try to condense the time frame for production or for lyric writing?
I do, and it's really hard on me. I bark back. I'm like, it's not a magic wand, guys. It seems external, almost clairvoyant, that it just comes onto the paper finally. But I don't choose when it happens. Yeah. Although I can encourage it by listening and trying to come up with something. But if I don't do my homework and listen, then it'll never come. But I do have to do that. But a lot of times the guys are like, have you written it? Have you written it? And it's funny, off topic. I don't know what triggered it, but there's this weird phenomenon about bands that aren't anything, where the members will be like, have these delusions of grandeur. Yeah. And I've dealt with it so many times over the years. It's such a weird phenomenon to me, to where you'll actually get kind of sucked up into it. It's like,
you're lost in your own hype.
Come on, man. We're playing the freaking Arco Arena on Saturday or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, huh? And it's like they just like get so carried away as the music gets better and as you get more successful at writing music and putting together enough music for an album. Yeah. That all of a sudden people start like talking about quitting their jobs and going on tour and all this stuff that's just out of the realm of reality. I'm not saying that Shacknasty's like that, but it's happened so many times in the past. It's like an interesting phenomenon to me, to where you have to like reground yourself and then have a talk with them and hope that grounds them, but it doesn't always work. Yeah. They just have this different idea about what a hobby is. Yeah. And then you're like, well, we made $25 last gig. We played 4 hours, split 5 ways. What are you talking about? $1 an hour. Are we gonna buy a van or? Yeah. I don't know, but that has happened to me a lot in the past. Yeah. Not necessarily with Shacknasty, because we're all really grounded, but
that's again that sweet spot we're in.
Yeah, but you could get carried away. If you make a successful album, you could get carried away with your ideas and go, oh my God, it's so good. This is it. Yeah. We've won the lottery.
We got to keep going and keep pushing.
But you got to stay grounded. You haven't done anything really.
Kind of measured expectation. You see that a lot in fighting too. A guy goes out and he wins a couple AMI fights, and then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'm getting ready to go pro. And it's like, well, man, you've had 2 fights. So, and you won them both, but it's not like you're out there Mike Tysoning people and just knocking them dead in 13 seconds. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think there's a fine line between having lofty aspirations and having unrealistic expectations. And I think that's a nice part too that comes, you know what I mean, with age too, is the kind of realization that, hey, listen, I'm not doing this for anybody else. I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this to sell out Arco Arena. I'm doing this
we're
for
both 29 now, so
catharsis.
And
I knew you guys from high school.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-imagination. I'm not anti-imagination. I'm just anti-fantasy.
No, yeah, and like you said, there's a fine line between a lofty aspiration and then unrealistic expectations. And I think sometimes, though, I find the opposite. People don't realize the full potential of what they could achieve with the right decisive and tactical moves as far as things like media goes, things like marketing goes. I mean, so your guys' music videos were really well produced. I thought that those
Stooge, we can thank him for that. Our drummer,
yeah,
like I said, DIY. He does those just on his laptop. He just does.
I think he's working towards a real important point. We can make the product, and we can package it all up for you, but it's just gonna sit in the spare bedroom.
That's not what I was getting at.
There's no marketing, right? So where's it going, really?
Well, it's not that you're doing it to produce it for anybody either. Like you said, it's a self-edification as musicians.
That's
it's self-fulfillment, self-expression,
It's almost just for us and for our local friends, really.
Yeah. And man, I every time I come out to one of your guys' shows, even the ones that we weren't playing with you guys on, you guys put on a good show. You create a cool atmosphere. You guys, everybody leaves, everyone's smiling, everyone's joking around, everybody's moving their body, everybody's having fun and enjoying themselves. And I think
it's worth doing right.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, like you said, you never know whether if your aspiration is to play the Moda Center, but what your end goal actually ended up being was that you changed a dude's relationship with his kid. They connected over your album, or they, you know what I mean? From the macro to the micro, the effect that you have on people's lives, I think people have sometimes unrealistic expectation of the effect that they can have on others. But I think sometimes people self-deprecate too, which is, I see you guys as very self-deprecating because you're both very humble about the music that you guys produce. But I do think that the quality of your production, as far as music videos go, as far as your actual recording process goes, I'm excited to hear the new album because I thought that your last album, Destabilizer, was really good. I was listening to that before you guys showed up as I'm getting everything set up for the podcast. I think that there's a lot of musicians out there that would kill to have the opportunities to work with a producer like Martel, that would kill to have the opportunities to work with drummers like Greg, to play with guitarists like Taman, to have the opportunities that you guys have. But I really do think that you're taking advantage of them and you're producing quality.
I'm kind of
sound.
scared once they find out about Redwood Records, because then we won't even have a spot to record
You
it.
guys won't have any more studio time.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been lucky so far, but
COVID was a double-edged sword.
when they find out about Ray Martell, that's
weren't looking at
it.
anybody else. So yeah, we were able to get some studio.
We'll probably even have to get a new bass player.
Ray has. I don't think anything you could do would stop Ray from playing.
But would you
bass
rather
in your
play
guys' band.
for 30,000 people in an arena that you can't even interact with? Or would you rather play at Gordy Bros with 35 really good friends that love you?
Step off stage and have a beer
Or
with them?
play at Inoteca where a couple kids can come in before 9 and see a concert? When did you see a concert? First concert I saw was when I was like 16. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, you know?
I think Joan Jett at a county fair
But we
down
have,
in
like,
Reading was the first concert I ever saw.
5-year-olds, 9-year-olds that can come into Inoteca and see us play. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Local shows are a lot to be admired, I think.
Yeah, I wish I could do both. I wish I.
Yeah, Colt
Biggest show I
he
ever-
wants to be a big shot. See?
Well, the biggest show I ever played at was, I forget, it was Summerfest or whatever the hell they called it. It was down in Humboldt County. It was like, they sold like 2,500 tickets. That's
Nice.
kind of cool, but that's the biggest. I would love to play the $30,000 seat arena or whatever. I would be fun. At least
Oh,
just
yeah.
once, or get on something. But I don't want. But then I don't want to be burdened with having those expectations. It is fun. It's nice and it's intimate and it's a cool thing to play for 100 people or less at a local gig. I do like that. But I can't compare it with a 30,000 seat arena because I haven't done it.
Well, you've
That would
been
be
playing
kind of fun.
music
Maybe
so
just
long,
once.
too. I
Man,
mean, when you're singing from the time you're how old were you when you started singing in the shower? You know what I mean?
Oh, well,
7, 8.
yeah, well, my mom sang to me, so right at early age.
Yeah. And then how old were you when you started playing guitar?
started playing guitar not till I was like 20. 20 or 21. I played trumpet, and I started playing since 4th grade music. But
even at 20 and 21, I mean, you still. I know for speaking for myself personally, when I started playing bass guitar, you know what I mean. And I think like 7th or 8th grade, you can't help as a kid but to imagine like, yeah, man, one day, and you kind of keep those things in the back of your mind and go, man, that would be pretty cool. But you don't hang your hat on whether or not you end up achieving that. It's always just one of those things in the back of your mind, you know. It's like when you get your first Playboy when you're a kid, and your whole life you're kind of waiting for that bus full of cheerleaders to roll up, and you know they lied to you. It's probably never going to happen. But at the same time, it's, you know, you keep it in the back of your mind.
You know,
that, I know what I'll do if they come. I know what I'll do if they come.
Or maybe you play tennis and you're pretty good, but you don't quit your job.
Yeah.
While on the subject of the Playboy centerfolds and whatnot, man, I actually skipped out on a date tonight to be here, just so you know.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure.
I made a date, so I got to do a shout out to Carrie. Sorry. Sorry, I didn't make it. She knows, though. She's cool with it. But yeah, we had plans. But she already knew I was doing this, and then we made plans, and I was like, later on, go, fuck, that's right, the podcast. I got to do this podcast.
I do that all the time. I make plans.
So I told her, I said, I would do a shout out. Carrie, sorry, I'll make it up to you.
Shortly after, she
quite as
texted me and
romantic. I can
said,
turn the
I'm
lights
really
down.
a lead singer type girl.
Yeah.
What?
I could turn
Barbecue later.
I did want to talk to you and ask you about some of the other musicians that were in the band originally. You guys went from having Jeff Berryman on bass, you, your brother Zion, Greg on drums as Clearly Distorted, moving into Shacknasty, Eli Lindsay.
Yeah.
And that's when you got Sean. I saw a very cool picture doing some research for this interview of a young Taman with some long hair. Boy, you look good. Yeah, you look good, Sean. I like it. I say you bring it back. Moving through these different musicians, when is it Kaya? When Kaya replaced Eli, when Jeff and Kaya left, when you guys brought in David Adonza and Sean Phillips, moving through different musicians, did you see directly at the time the influence that they had on the makeup of the band as far as the sound that you guys ended up putting out? Was there a big change in the style of the music? Did you notice over time, like bringing Ray in as a lead singer, have you noticed the transitions of the style of the band, or has the band pretty much stayed within that metal genre the entire time?
The genre has pretty much stayed the same, but it definitely sounds different, especially to the fans, because a lot of them, they hear the singer, and the lead singer's the band to them.
Yeah.
So even though most of the songwriting, especially back then, I was writing the music or collaborating with Stooch, and we'd write the music, but they're hearing the singer. So like we had, like when my brother Zion was originally singing, he had more of a, I don't know, man, if I had to pick one guy, maybe like Billy Corgan or some Smashing Pumpkins or something. He's not a traditionally very good singer, but he fits what they do.
Yeah.
My brother was kind of maybe in that vein. Then we had Eli Lindsay, and he came from more from a really hardcore metal background where they do those songs with bands like you heard in Portland, like the Cookie Monster vocals. That wasn't our style of music, so he tried to
Cookie Monster vocals.
Yeah,
I like that. I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
well, he tried to sing for our band, so it worked in some songs. Yeah, it worked for some songs and not for others. So maybe that wasn't a real great fit. We did have a real small part there where we had Jason Hansen as the lead singer between my brother and Eli, but we never even played a live gig with him. But he was a friend that did it for a minute. But after Eli, we got Kaya. That was in our opinion, our first real good singer, professionally good singer, that we felt like the singer's as good as the band is.
Yeah.
And we sounded good. And then he was, I don't know, we sounded like maybe like a Stained kind of band, late 90s.
Kind of like that Aaron Lewis type vocal delivery.
That kind of thing. And then when he went on his way, and then Berryman left, and they were replaced with David Danza and Sean Phillips, and then I don't know, maybe we started to sound more like a Godsmack. It got a little harder edge with those guys, and David Danza bringing some of his songs. We did a few of his songs. He did a lot of drop D tuning for songs he came up with, and then the band kind of dissolved. That was like 2000, like around 2000, and then didn't do anything for a long time, and then these guys come around. We kind of get the creative juices flowing again. We got going, and it was like it's like a whole new band again, you know. I mean, we initially started playing a lot of the original songs from back then, from the Shacknasty Jim / Clearly Distorted era, because that's what 3/5 of the band already knew. So it was just quicker to start playing live. We just do a bunch of songs we already know, but then we bring these guys in and start writing new music, and we're like, this is the best singer we've had. Martell's the best bass player we've had. Me and Stooch and Taman are better at what we do now. So it's like this version of the band, and especially this album in particular, is honestly the best stuff we put out.
Yeah. Was that hard for you, Ray, coming into a band where you had the expectation of performing songs that were already written by another vocalist?
Very, very difficult. And I don't want to talk about the past musicians or singers or anything, because I respect their achievements. And I would just say, yeah, it's really hard to come in and try and replace them in so to speak, without hearing what they've done.
Yeah.
Because I have my own original idea of how I should sing it. But I gotta say, when you hear it once, it's like gets embedded in there, and it's hard to remove it and do yourself. So a lot of the songs I just repeat from what those artists did before me, because I can't get it out of my head, you know, and these guys are used to it done that way, but you know, I would love to just give my own touch to them, to the songs, you know.
Tell you what, I'm gonna go take a piss break.
Go ahead.
He can tell you what he really thinks.
You're good. You're good. Go ahead. There's no.
Well, I haven't ate yet. I'm sitting here drinking beers like a fucking bitch. I'm like, dude,
Oh, you're fine, buddy.
You more than an 80-year-old lady, you know.
More than welcome, dude. After my kidneys.
More than 80-year-old lady.
Buddy, I know some fucking 80-year-old ladies that can toss them back. You'd be surprised. You might be surprised.
Actually, it would be cool interviewing with something that I won't see until the podcast comes out, because I'll be like, motherfucker.
Anyways, like I said, so coming in and getting the chance to learn those songs, perform with these guys, that's got to be cool. You've had a hiatus, you're coming back to music, you're getting to perform live again.
Yeah.
Was it hard to sit there and kind of, maybe not, pander's not the right word, but try to come in and create songs in the vein of the band already? I mean, had you been in, were any of those other bands, where they weren't necessarily like a metal bands, right? Mama String Bean?
Mama String Bean was a very like flamboyant metal band, where the lead guitarist Danny Kuracek was basically the leader.
Yeah.
And he would have a big fan set up and blowing his hair while he's playing, and
some good stagecraft.
Swing his guitar would go round and round. One time he even hit me in the forehead with it, you know, and made me bleed in the middle of a song and stuff like that. So it's like that real like 80s rock music. I'll get you CDs.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd appreciate it.
But yeah, but each band that I was in was unique for itself, and I was proud of that. And Mama String Bean, not so much, you know. It's kind of like the name of a band. You're never really satisfied with it, nor do you have a solution.
Yeah.
So you have to go with what happens, right? So I just go with what happens and try my hardest to do the best job I can. But yeah, coming in is real intimidating at first, but then the effort that I put out, and I still vividly remember it for the first song, which was, I think, Crash, was that I just wanted to blow these guys' socks off.
Yeah.
And I'm not, you guys just haven't asked some average dude to come sing for you.
Yeah.
You've asked someone with a lot of experience in singer-songwriting, and I'm gonna blow your fucking socks off. And it just so happens that I achieved that. And so then I was satisfied after the first two songs. Now I'm just relaxed and just made mediocre shit. No, I'm just kidding.
It seems like it seems like you keep using that word clairvoyance to describe your creative process.
It is.
Do you kind of I prescribe to the same kind of thought process as I think Michael Jackson said once, like, you kind of have to let God into the room. And I'm not super religious myself. I would say maybe more spiritual based on the things that I've lived through. But do you think that there is an aspect of that where when you truly relax and just allow yourself to be present in the moment, that those creative juices kind of do seem to ethereally flow through you, or the words produce themselves, or the thoughts articulate themselves in a way that's melodic and appealing or cathartic to you?
Yeah, whether it's on a subconscious level or on a universal level, it feels like that the harder you think about, you hope that you can write it as well as possible, and still nothing comes out. And then all of a sudden it does. It happens one day unexpectedly. And you not only have the words, but the actual melody of how you're going to sing it. I mean, do you call that a coincidence, or do you call it clairvoyance, or do you call it help from the universe, or whatever it's called? All I know is there was quite a dry spell before that song came.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just goes all on there at once. It's kind of strange. And then also some of my songs in the future, like, have come true. I didn't write them for that reason. But then I'm like, oh, man, maybe I shouldn't write this new one where I jump off a bridge, you know?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Maybe my bungee cord's gonna break.
Yeah.
I don't know, but watch what you write, right?
Yeah. No, I think there's a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of aspect to when you're writing music like that. It seems like people start to perform in a certain way, or they start to sing about certain things or certain lifestyles, and then they, maybe subconsciously start to, and I'm not saying that's what happens with you, but start to emulate what they're singing about. Like if you're singing about, the money and the fame and the this and that, and you see people trying to go into the lyrics, they try to live based on the lyrics that they've written, as opposed to having the lyrics kind of come through you, and then having those events take place more organically than trying to match, like some of those 80s metal bands are like, girls, girls, girls. And then you're trying to surround yourself with women.
But
and
that's
things
the
like
hook,
that.
though. You got to live for the hook when you're doing songs like that.
Yeah.
That's what Brian Wheat told me. You gotta get the hook.
He said you have to live for the hook?
Which I found offensive. I don't want a hook. I want to write a song that stimulates your, imagination, and you actually interpret it different than the guy sitting next to you.
That was something I wanted to touch back on, and we got sidetracked earlier when you were talking about that. Elaborating too much on the meanings of songs, or giving people too much of a definitive answer to what a song's about. You look at somebody like Don McLean, where they took American Pie, Bye Bye Miss American Pie, and they tried to dissect that for, a half a century. And he kind of always just kept it close to the vest.
Hotel California.
Yeah, and when you, or any Bob Dylan song, Mama's in the basement mixing up the medicine, I'm on the pavement talking to the and it means something different to every person. And when it seems like you narrow your audience to almost an individual level, where if you tell people what the song's about when you were writing, or what you thought it was about when you were writing it, that you're losing that mass appeal, or that relatability, that anybody could listen to a song that's maybe more vague, or maybe more of a puzzle, and they, instead of putting the pieces together and relating it to themselves in any way that they see fit, you're kind of pigeonholing their experience, or the way that they can interpret your song. If you're saying this song's about my dead dog, and they're like, wow, I used that song before you told me that. That was the song that I used to remember my grandma by, and now I can't use that anymore. Now I have to disassociate my own interpretation.
Well,
I mean, why be mentally stimulating? Why not just write a song? Mud, 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 water and dirt.
Yeah.
Mud, mud, mud. I mean, come on. Why we don't want to be stimulating?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make people think. If their imagination comes alive, you just earn another point. If they go off to another place for a while and stare off in the distance, you've scored.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I mean, make something new, real. Yeah. Something that really makes you go, wow, what is
That'd be a good song.
thinking?
Things that make you go, I'm on to something.
Yeah.
But I think you guys have something with mud, dirt, water, dirt, and water. Yeah.
Don't steal that now.
I got a buddy who goes by the name of Ski. And
it's not copyright.
By the name of Ski?
Yeah.
I know that guy.
Austin Rafalowski. He's got some ideas for some new music he wants us to do.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You said this could be R-rated because he's got it in his idea. It's,
I gotta go pee.
Go ahead.
Yeah. This is a good time to pee.
Tell me what you really think about Ray.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Go ahead.
Mud, dirt, an asshole. No, but Fucking
Oh fuck.
Ski's got this idea. He keeps telling me, he goes, "Okay, you've heard of System of Down? You know, like the song, you know, when they're like, they sing songs like, oh, da, 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 you know, like,
Yeah.
He's like, but his idea is, suck my cock, suck his cock, suck his cock."
Let's go back into it.
He's being funny, but you know, that's a good one.
But yeah, I think Ski, knowing Ski a little bit, I think maybe that's just, you know, self-expression.
Yeah.
Like you said, putting thoughts into the universe and having them come to fruition.
I like, but I see what you're getting at with the song being kind of can mean different things to different people. Maybe I was naive because everybody else seems to disagree with me. But, you know, that song "Stained," it's been a while.
Yeah.
For a long time I heard that, and I think maybe because I had just gone out through a breakup, and I you know, it's been a while, but I remember just the way you taste and all this stuff, and I'm thinking of a girl and missing being with that person, and then everybody else says, "No, it was drugs, man. He was, you know, heroin addict at one time," and I was like, well, it didn't mean that to me at the time.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, he didn't say I missed the drugs. Yeah. Because then it specifically means drugs, which might have meaning to some people, but not everybody. When he just says, when he's vague about I miss you, or I remember just the way you were and all that stuff like that, well, that can mean different things to different people.
You're leaving it open for interpretation.
Yeah. And he does some of that. Ray does some of that, which is great, you know.
I think one of the things that comes back to with some of your guys' music is that it's not super. Ray's really good at with his lyrics. When I'm kind of looking over some of the lyrics and I'm listening in, he's not necessarily, you know, there's all those, and I love country. My grandparents played country for the you know, for a great portion of their life, and I was raised on country, and I love country, and I love the ability of country writers to tell a song where when you hear the song you see a very specific picture and a very specific scene, you know, dirt road, a red truck, blue overalls, you know, and there's something nostalgic and nice and you know, intrinsically American about a song that paints a picture in your mind and tells a story. Americans
very literally.
Yeah, very literally. But there's also something I think even more powerful about songs like that are open for interpretation. People can apply them to their life, or they can resonate with an individual in any way that they see fit, that allows them the catharsis to the point where they put the song on and they've had, you know, like you said, a breakup, or they've had a loved one pass away, or they've had, you know, something traumatic or something good happen in their life, where they're able to put on the song and feel some sort of release, and they're not told, you know, like you said, like I said earlier, this song's about my dead dog, and you're like, well, I always used to use that for my grandma, and now I can't have the dead dog song be about my fucking grandma. You've ruined it by telling me what the song is really about.
It's been a while again, and it's hard to. Now I'm like, it's tainted with other people's interpretation, or possibly what he really meant. But it's like I liked the interpretation I had initially. You know. Yeah.
Do you find it hard on, as a guitarist, as a?
Yes, I find guitaring hard.
Do you find it hard as a guitarist to guitar? You find it hard to kind of create riffs and create rhythm guitar portions of songs that are specific enough to what you want to express, but yet vague enough to allow you know, Ray as the singer to come in and put lyrics on top of it and have it still be, you know, do you ever write a guitar part and have like a type of song and have a type of song in mind, and then have Ray come in and maybe put lyrics on it that you didn't necessarily see initially for the song?
Not anymore. I think I've learned over the years, because I can't write lyrics to save my life. Yeah. And I can't sing to save my life. I stay in my wheelhouse. I can make really good riffs, chunky riffs. I can write a song from point A to point B, as long as I got the other guys to fill in their parts. But there's been times in the past, earlier versions of this band, where I had an idea, like I wanted to go like this and I go like that, but I can't do that. I can't write the lyrics. So I come up with a cool rhythm that sounds cool. And, you know, I may know this is a heavier song, so it's probably going to have darker lyrics, or this is a lighter song, so maybe it has more uplifting lyrics. So, you know, maybe generally speaking, but I really leave that to the other guys in the band, or Altman in particular, you know, with the lyrics, because he's going to come up with lyrics. So I honestly don't even have expectations on it. You know,
when you were a younger man, a younger musician, maybe more idyllic starting out, would you write riffs and think in your own head, like, yeah, this is a song I wrote after I broke up with my girlfriend, and this is going to be a riff to a song about heartbreak, or a song about a relationship, and then your buddy turns it into a song about pounding beers and having a good time with the boys, you know. Did you find that frustrating at that time? Is that something that you just completely moved beyond, or do you ever have a preconceived notion of what your riff what kind of song it should go to?
Well, like I said, maybe earlier on, maybe when I first started this out, I'd have a preconceived notion of how the lyrics are going to go. But like I said, I've learned over the years, I don't write lyrics. There's been a couple songs on a couple albums where I wrote the lyrics and they weren't particularly good. Hobo Sacrifice, not that one, but
wait, hold on, backtrack, hold on. Hobo Sacrifice?
You wrote a song called Hobo Sacrifice.
You wrote lyrics and all?
Yeah, it was pretty badass. But
I guess I'm responsible for losing them.
Yeah, he lost them in his fireplace. It was weird. But yeah, I don't anymore. I know what you're getting at, but I don't write that way because I'm really just 1/5 of the band. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not like.
Is that nice in a way though too? Kind of takes some of that pressure off of you to necessarily. Yeah, you don't have to be the rhythm and the lead guitars. I've been in bands where we have one guitarist. He
writes the songs.
Yeah.
But you know,
but I feel, but it's like
I'm always open for any lyrics people want to give me. You know, I took those ones from what Shed gave me some lyrics.
Yeah,
and
he's open to that.
You gave me some lyrics.
There's nothing I'm going to write that you're not going to write it 10 times better.
I'm just not going to sing anything I don't find unacceptable. You know,
if I was into country music, I could probably do that. But like, if I try to write lyrics, they're way too literal. It would be going down the country road, my pickup, you know, fucking three-legged dog. You know, But that's not our style of music. I like how he writes music because it's vague and it can mean different things to different people. It's thought provoking or whatever. I can't write lyrics like that. I just can't. It's
important to have the aspect of imagination during the lyrics in a song. Not that you can. I mean, this genre. Let's face it. No one's going to hear what the hell you're singing live.
Yeah, that's hard.
But they come up and they're nice enough to say, "Hey, your voice sounded really good." But no one knows what the hell you're saying in reality. Okay, it's just so loud. But it's important to me, and it's important to me that they, you know, I guess that I'm giving them something to,
well, you know,
feed their imagination. I want everyone to interpret it differently. Like a surreal painting in a museum where one person sees a giant eyeball and the next person says, "What a beautiful mountain." It's like, well, that's the kind of thing I want to happen. I don't want it to be like, here is a rock and a rock likes to sit there all day. You know, I want it to be something that where it's like,
you know, I just thought of something
that could be like,
something that, as far as expectations, there wasn't expectations going into it, but something that we kind of halfway through or more of this album, we realized it kind of had a theme, a singularity. It's one of the reasons we came up with the name. Some of the songs have like a sci-fi theme.
Futuristic.
Yeah. IMAI, as he's singing possibly from the perspective of an artificial intelligence that's becoming self-aware, but at the same time also realizing it's artificial intelligence, and there's a million other interpretations, but it kind of sounds like that to me a little bit. Could mean something different to different people, but there's other songs that Robot Chicks and some other songs. So we started thinking, man, for fucking whatever reason, and I don't know why, I don't know if it has something to do with COVID or the times or whatever, but we started having songs that were kind of having this kind of theme. And so it's kind of going to be like a theme album where the songs tie in.
Like futuristic.
Yeah, it's one big long futuristic, and then we've
like
got
dystopian future, like World War IV. I got that kind of dystopian future.
Yeah, it's kind of like that vibe where you're like, World War IV, where's 3? You know, but
the songs are heavier for sure on this song.
Whenever I listen to that song, I always think of that. I think it was Albert Einstein quote. He said, "I know not which weapons will be used to fight World War III, but I can tell you that World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones."
Right.
It's one of those.
And that's
things.
the thing. That's the point of that song, is it skips the whole war because this one's bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then you go to this concept that you're talking
concept
about.
album, yeah.
And yeah, I had to agree that a lot of it seemed like it was in the future, but that just kind of feeds my whole clairvoyance conspiracy that I'm talking about, damn it, these songs keep coming true, even the ones I wrote way back 30 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
they all came true, you know, or some of them.
Have
Which
you guys-
makes me suspicious.
I wrote a
myself.
song 30 fucking years ago that said, "In the future, cars will get better gas mileage." Fucking came true.
Fuck, man.
Your Ford will be silver. Yeah, right, whatever.
I wanted to ask you guys too, now having been through, I mean, you guys lived through a period in music and were performing during a period of music that people my age, you know, younger musicians that look up to bands like you were talking about earlier, like Stone Temple Pilots, like Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Smashing Pumpkins, living through that era of music and seeing the scene.
Helmet was a badass band from the East Coast, but yeah, go ahead.
Which band?
Helmet.
Yeah,
they didn't get real big, but they were bigger on the East Coast, but they were badass. Yeah.
I am confined by my age. I don't know all the tight ass 90s bands. I know
was a
kind of the
little
more
worried
mainstream
that these
ones.
guys loved Alice in Chains too much when I first came aboard, you know, but that subsided.
I don't think they man, guys like Lane Staley, right?
Mm-hmm.
With those are talents that I would say are you know, 2 or 3 in a generation. It seems like individuals like that have talent like that. But like I was going to say, having lived through that scene and seeing the fans and seeing people that not necessarily the ones that produce that type of music or create that type of music, but the people that consume that type of music, and seeing the people that come out to your shows now, what kind of changes have you noticed in the scene of younger rock enthusiasts, people that come out when you guys are seeing, I feel like a lot of people that would come to the Schlock shows were other musicians, people that still like to hear live instruments being performed as opposed to digital music.
I think we're seeing more people our age.
Are you guys seeing a resurgence at all of younger people? I've seen a lot of younger.
I have not noticed any younger people. I've seen people our age.
Yeah.
There's a handful. It's hard to say. The younger people, it's different, I think, experience for younger people, because in our age, even in your age, when you were younger, you had to buy an album, you had to buy a CD.
Yeah.
So you had to invest some money, $15-20 for that thing. So you were a little more selective, and when you did buy it, you were going to listen to every track. You paid 15 freaking bucks for it. You're going to listen you're going to listen to the deep cuts. You're going to listen to everything. You're going to read all the liner notes because you paid for this thing, and you're going to keep this, and it's something you're going to have. And so music was different for you, whereas now kids just get stuff off YouTube for free, and it's like junk food to them. They don't care. They listen to it once, and then if they never download it, they don't care because it's easy come, easy go. Whereas before, music was a different experience, you know?
Yeah. I like that analogy, the junk food analogy, but a lot of the music that's produced too nowadays for the younger generations, like I think one of my favorite bands, a female singer, kind of like a rock band named called Beach Bunny. She uses a line that says, "Your words are only empty calories," or something to that effect. And I think, you know, that junk food analogy is almost perfect though, because a lot of the music that's getting consumed, in my perception of it, you know, only being 30, it's empty calories. You know, it's like you said, a lot of it's I got a big chain on my neck, and I got a big house, and I got a cool car. You know, it's like, and
it's not just that. It's like even the poor ladies that are trying to be top-notch musicians are trying to sell sex.
Yeah.
Because that's what sells. I mean, if you go on YouTube, do you watch the guy catching a bass down at the lake, or do you watch what Asian girl doing exercises, right? Short. So look at what your marketing, like you brought up marketing.
Yeah.
That's an important part. I mean, we have to figure out how to market it.
Target demographic.
Big deal. We have a album done in March. So how do you market it?
So
how do you get it out there?
But I think there are a lot of people, though, from your guys' generation that will want new rock albums. They want new heavy metal albums. They want new music to consume.
I think
they love the oldies, but they want new stuff.
I think there is a craving for it, but how do you get it to them? You know, you got to get it to them.
Exactly.
It's hard.
I think you guys should look into, and Bayonne was the one that turned me onto that website, and he was theorizing at the time, or postulating that we could possibly use that as a medium, but where you guys are auditioning basically your songs for parts in TV shows or movies.
I feel like we're abandoning
Yellow Taxi or something like that.
I think we're abandoning our own age group though, because we're putting stuff on a computer. What a lot of them don't even like going on the computer. you know.
That's true.
I'm rare. I have a tablet. I do everything on my tablet, but some guys my age, they don't want to be bothered with trying to figure out how to download your damn song or album off the internet when you used to just you know, hand out CDs at the gig.
Yeah.
Now there's jump drives, you know. Not everyone has a jump drive in their car or whatever.
Yeah. That's
So
fair.
what do you hand out? What do you make and what do you produce and what do you hand out to promote yourself?
Yeah.
And that's like a big milestone, I think, right now, you know, unless you have some kind of huge company that wants you to get naked and swing around on a ball or whatever, you know.
One of the biggest questions, and I was asking some people stuff that they wanted me to ask, and I have to ask this question, and I apologize in advance for any controversy that it may entail. In the Anywhere music video,
I think I know where you're going with this.
Ray, I've been forced. The people want answers.
Come on, man.
Is that all you, bro? Is that all you?
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's stretchy jeans, okay?
Okay.
And you know what?
It is though.
A lot of people have
No.
accused me of potatoes,
Socks maybe.
but that's just old man balls, okay?
Fair.
And then at the top of it, these guys won't let me wear those pants ever again, and I had to wear loose jeans.
There you
On
have
the
it,
last
ladies and gentlemen.
video,
100%
because-
certified organic, made in the US of A.
I was called Moose Knuckles, okay? And I don't like that. Okay, I don't like Moose Knuckles.
Oh, that's fair, buddy.
Yeah.
I didn't see the big split. It was more just the very generous
I mean,
portions to the
I'm
one
not going to
side.
talk about...
Okay, that's
my
fair.
package.
I had to ask.
Yes,
I
that's
have
my
that.
whole package. It's just stretchy, tight pants. Will Ferrell made a video about it. Everybody's talking about my tight
Oh,
pants.
yeah, I forgot about that.
It's
Yeah.
a classic.
Perfect. I wanted to ask you guys two-part question, and we're at the 2.5 hour mark right now. Time's flown by. This is a super
Wow.
fun interview.
I didn't know
I
it was that
I
far.
again
Yeah,
appreciate you guys.
so fucking bad.
No, this is perfect. This is what I wanted. This is what I set out to do with this podcast. I want organic, unedited. I don't want to splice this up into sound bites. I want it to be a genuine conversation with people that I enjoy, asking them questions that I find interesting and getting the answers to the questions that I want, as well as answers to questions that I think people will find interesting. What was the best advice as a young musician that you got? And part B of that question is, what advice would you give to musicians setting out now to attempt to create and perform live? What was the best advice you got, and what advice would you give now?
I'll tell you the best advice I got, and this is going to sound cheesy, but it was for literal advice. When we played with Black Rose, it was our first real gig, like I told you earlier. We had done a handful, we did some barbecues and the mud flop and all that, but it was our first real gig. We were playing at the fairgrounds in Crescent City. People had to buy tickets and blah, blah, blah. So we knew it was the real deal. And we were setting up our stuff, and we didn't really know what the fuck we were doing. And this sounds funny now, but I've done it since then. When we play on the ground level floor, because we were playing on like this big level thing. They had the stage, and we had we were on the floor set up in front of it so that we can move our shit and they can play their concert.
Yeah.
And they gave funny thing they did was he said, hey, use duct tape and where you got your instrument cable and your patch cords come in between your foot pedals. It said duct tape those to the floor. So when you're playing, they don't move around on you in the crowd, or they're doing the mosh pit and it hits your stuff. You don't have your pedals gnawing. You don't have shit coming out.
Shifting
So
around.
that was just a little thing that you would just never think of if you had never been in a situation.
Your
And
sound literal
those
advice.
guys, Daryl, Jeff, those guys that were in that band, the Winkleman brothers, they were so cool, man. I just can never thank them enough, because honestly, looking back, if those guys were assholes, which they could have been if they wanted to, if they were just didn't want to talk to us, or they were assholes to us, it might have been our first and last gig.
Yeah.
But they made it such a cool experience for us, and that's kind of a small thing. I mean, I know you're looking for a question like who says, "Oh, make sure you spend your money well, kid," or whatever.
Whatever it is.
It was just the little things that I remember.
Yeah.
Some of the cool musicians, other bands,
Little practical advice. There's actually
other bands, Bludgeon, and some of these bands we play with in Eureka back in the day, back in the late '90s, whatever, that helped us along the way.
Oh yeah.
That's my answer to it. He probably has a better answer, but and go.
Oh, so on my mom's side of the family is all country western artists. So my grandma wrote over 100 country western songs, all original. My grandfather played guitar and sounded exactly like Hank Williams Sr. And my Aunt Joni tours the United States and does like the Loretta Lynn tribute show. And I think she does also a tribute show for Patsy Cline. And she's had some interactions with the families of those deceased performers and worked it out, and so that they actually like her now and encourage her. And then she does her own shows with her band where it's not a tribute, but she does her own shows, probably singing grandma songs and stuff. I gotta admit, I haven't been to a lot of her shows, so but I was the only guy, I guess, out of that family that, you know, was told you need to do country western songs, and I chose rock.
Yeah.
So I would say that was like you're asking me what other musicians told me at an early age, and then I went the opposite direction. And then what I would say to any new musicians is that be yourself, write your own stuff, don't copy, don't steal.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're true to yourself. And please don't get caught up into the imagination of like, you know, a couple of compliments will inflate your ego, and then you'll think you're bigger than a one-night show with 30 people.
Yeah.
Please just stay
And don't litter.
Please just stay humble and don't let other people influence you or you know, manipulate you into thinking that you're going to have a show at like Arco Arena with Aerosmith next. And because I have fallen for stuff like that in the past where I've tried really, really hard because I thought we were going to have a really, really big gig if I did these certain shows. I think that there is a lot of people out there that are crazy and have gone crazy, or maybe have too big of an imagination, and will manipulate you to think that things aren't really what they are, which is that you're just a small town performer trying to entertain a small group of people in a little club.
And have fun.
And have fun too. And yeah, I would say that. Have fun writing and performing your music, and don't let anyone tell you anything different.
Do your own thing. Do your own thing.
You know, the guy in the back yelling Freebird, just ignore him. You don't need to do Freebird.
Even if it's
Buddy, that might be the best advice you've ever.
even if it's Rusty Sela and he sends a little kid up to talk to you in the middle of your gig, and you don't know who this little kid is, and he's
There's
looking on
other
the jacket.
people doing Freebird.
I remember at one of those shows at Anateca, we had a gal come up, and we're literally in the middle of a song, and she comes up, she goes, "You guys need to do like some Leonard Skinner," and we're in the middle of a song, and we're sitting there, and we're like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, got it, see ya, bye."
Yeah.
And she's trying to have a conversation with us, and basically implying that we should play Freebird without implying that we should play Freebird.
Or the ones that run up to the stage and go, "Stairway to Heaven!" They're all drunk, you know.
And it's like, hey, the bar across the street has a jukebox.
You just
Go play
take it
over
with
there.
a grain of salt and keep doing what you're doing.
Keep smiling, treating people good.
But I would say also to younger people, what is your goal? Are you really going to be self-absorbed as I am, or are you going to really try and entertain? The whole goal is to entertain, right? So don't be so selfish that you don't write good enough stuff to entertain.
Awesome. Guys, your new album, Singularity, drops hopefully next month. I will keep everybody that is subscribed to this channel and that tunes in for my podcast updated, and I will let them know when that drops. I'm really looking forward to it. If people want to get Destabilizer, they can get that on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music store.
Apple Music. If you actually still want a hard copy CD, I think it's on Amazon. You can order it there, or CD Baby, a couple other places. But if you go to the I believe that stands for World Wide Web.
Okay.
Shacknasty.net. I know she left it off that thing over there, so I kind of was confused. But if you go to the
I only got so many tiny letters, but I run out of F's and W's and turn the M's upside down.
Yeah, well, if you go to that, shacknasty.net, there's links on there, I think, to where you can go to order that stuff or download it or whatever format you want it in.
Awesome. Hey, you guys, I appreciate you coming on. This was awesome. Perfect. I appreciate
I
it.
just say that I go on YouTube for free and type in Shacknasty Destabilizer.
That way
You could also get it there too.
I watch
we
it
have a
all for
YouTube
free.
channel for that matter,
I
too.
listen
You can
to
get
the
our
video. You know, you can
videos
watch the
on there.
videos for free.
Yeah.
Listen to music for free.
AI is
The
gonna
guys
be
are
the
going
first
to be
single
pissed
off.
about that, but
AI is going to
I
be the
enjoy
big single
free.
off.
That's
of
gonna be the first
Singularity.
single off this new Singularity.
And that's
It's
the
gonna
one
be-
you guys have been working on the video for.
Yes, AI will
Awesome.
have we'll have that song probably is going to come out first with the video, probably shortly before the whole album comes out.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to share that. And if you guys are watching right now, like and subscribe. Check out www.shacknasty.net. Ray, Jesse, I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry Colt was so long-winded. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Buddy, at least his wind is one long thing instead of breaking it, you know?